basis of my assumption, honestly.
Yeah.
You might have to rename this to the Cackling Hen Hour.
Yes, yes, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. You heard it here. We should call it the Cackling Hen Hour. Oh, hi, everybody. I am the Lavender Lady, Diana Clarion. Welcome to the open chat. And how the heck are you, kids? Oh, my. Today, what do you have here? One of two. What's that, trip
No,
and
half,
fall? Oh, one half. Okay. Um,
I
Let me
think.
know, everybody, if the audio is okay, just as we always do. If I have to make some more adjustments because everything went to hell today. Google just decided to go on me, and there's a lot of stuff that's not working again, just the way it used to. So we're back to the familiar territory here, unlike Sunday. And okay, all kinds of stuff going on, and we have with us, of course, as usual, the one, the only, the brilliant and the beautiful Kate Farr, Bionic Dance. How are you, hon?
Oh, I'm okay. I've been waking up like the last couple of days feeling nasty, and I don't know why. And then I'm fine by noon. I don't get it. So, but I'm good.
Okay, and then of course, along with Kate, we have Mom NATO. Hello from the
Hello.
deep dark jungles of Florida.
Yes. Oh, today was an absolutely gorgeous day. The sun was out, and it's 80 degrees out, and I can open my doors. Hey, I
Yeah.
like the no snow. Thank you.
Or
Oh,
as my grandparents used to say, it's Florida, not Florida, Florida.
there we go.
They're,
And of
Flowering.
course,
they were from New York.
there
Mm,
are two compartments in that package, and in the other compartment of that package comes tornado pelt. And
yes. Baby
hello,
pill, baby
dear.
pill.
Baby pelt, I love it. I love it. Yes, I remember the story.
I must have missed it, but okay.
We
Oh,
were
Ever heard of the
making,
baby shark thing?
yes.
Mm.
We were making jokes about kids and the fact that I'm his mom, and everybody's like, well, does he have a nickname? And I'm just like, yeah, normally I just call him baby. And they're like, somebody popped up with the nickname, oh, so he's baby pelt. Like, yeah, pretty much.
in which you could see very likely tornado just slinking, on the way they do in
Oh,
the comics, trying to get under the table and out of the area without being seen.
yeah, because the brilliant red ears and the flesh that goes from this forehead down.
Oh, bless you. But the title of this whole thing here is, of course, I am not a Democrat. And it's not an epiphany or anything that I came to. I really haven't been a Democrat for a long time. But I've been seeing all kinds of stuff flying around social media today. And, well, not only today, it's been going on for months with,
Oh,
he's not a Democrat and she's not a Democrat. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Um, to me, it sounds so much like what the Democratic Party is accusing the Republicans of. Party over country. If
Mm.
you've got something good to say, but he's not a Democrat, and well, who
it
cares?
shouldn't
He's got
matter.
something good to say, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
now on the other side of the coin, yeah, if she's an absolute twit, and of course I'm talking about Gabbard here. I'd rather her not be in my, well, I'm not in that camp anyway, but were I in that camp, I'd rather her not be in the camp. But
Mm.
the thing is, she is a Democrat. That's where she's registered. So listen to what she's got to say and understand that that is a Democrat that's saying it. Fuck's
Well,
sake.
yeah,
You know,
that's the thing. Though, is like I don't really like. I'm seeing a lot of Democrats with what I'm calling Trump derangement syndrome, where all they can say is anybody but Trump. And I'm
Right.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I'm like, I agree. I don't want Trump in office anymore because he's a plague.
right.
But at the same time, there are larger issues. When you say I'm
Yes.
going to vote blue no matter who, well, what if you get someone who sounds just like your bog
Trump.
standard corporatist Democrat, but or sorry, Republican, but they call themselves a Democrat?
Oh, like Joe
Well,
Right.
Manchin.
are you still going to vote no matter who? Even though, like, basically you're cutting your own throat, there are larger issues at stake here, and
Yeah.
getting a blue no matter who voter to see that there are larger issues at stake here is
Mhm.
impossible. You can't do it.
Yeah, and also as you were saying, if you're okay, let's get Trump out of here, and anybody but Trump, and then along comes a candidate who's got something really decent to say. A lot of folks like him, but he's not a Democrat. He's an old crotchety man. It's like you said anybody, okay? You didn't listen to yourself, now did you? God damn.
But he's not a Democrat. I don't care if he's not a Democrat. If he's better than Trump, I'll take it.
A dead
Well, and
cat
that's the
is
thing,
better than
though,
Trump
is
at
that
this point.
yeah, I need
Yeah.
more than better than Trump. I need more. I mean,
Yeah.
I like okay, we got Trump out of office, and now what?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's the thing.
And now what
Mhm.
part is what a lot of people refuse to even consider, and it's driving me up the fucking wall.
And the other
Right,
thing
because
that's
we could
happening,
end up with somebody even worse than Trump if we're not careful.
yeah, and the other thing that's happening, and I feel it as well, and I try really hard to fight this. All this, he's not a Democrat, she's not a Democrat, all of this, no true Democrat or anything. It's getting me soured on the whole process. And I'm wondering if, well, not wondering, I know that at least some of it is designed to sour people on the election, get them to stay home. So, the turnout is low, and you know who wins on low turnouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Trip and Full, how can you be a Republican but have always voted Democrat? Wouldn't that make you a Democrat?
Not necessarily.
Well,
I mean, I don't
depends how you
understand
define it.
how that works.
Well,
I
here's
mean, are you saying party affiliation, or are you saying ideals?
I
Well, I mean, because how many times has a Republican tried to say, "Oh, the Democrats were the ones who liked slavery back during the Civil War,"
God.
you know,
oh
and it's like,
God.
yeah, but ideally, like idealistically, they were closer to Republicans of today. You know it, I know it, so
Yeah,
shut
Right,
your
right,
eye.
right.
But it doesn't
exactly.
matter because they think they have a slam dunk on you now. They've got a gotcha, and well,
And the thing
They're
is,
ignoring facts.
I don't know whether or not they know the story, um, because the big switch occurred in 1965, basically with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, and then the Southern Democrats, became disillusioned and became Republicans. Um, so you've got that going. The one thing, yeah, about being in one party and voting another, and this is one of the things I've wondered about, and I don't know that anybody could pull this off. Would it be worth trying to get a movement together to get a shitload of people opposed to the GOP to register GOP and vote in the primaries for the weakest candidate and basically primary the Orange Menace?
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of like the idea, but as I understand it, there's some Republicans right now planning on doing that in one of the upcoming primaries. I forget which one,
Okay,
where it's
okay.
an open primary, so they don't have to register as Democrats to vote in it. But what they're actually doing, and I think this is hilarious, is they're trying to spoil it for Biden and Mayor Pete by flooding the votes for Bernie, and they think somehow this is going to fuck with the Democrats, not realizing that, hey, how awesome would it be to have Bernie win?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it seems little on the dishonest side, honestly. I mean, I like the idea on a certain level. On another level, some part of me is kind of morally against it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not necessarily against guerrilla warfare if that's all I've got. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's interesting, guys. I know most of you folks already have this down, but it was funny when I was young. There was a toy on the market. It was a booby trap sort of thing, and well, this is back when they were pushing all the war toys and everything because
Hmm.
everybody had to be gung ho numb. Remember? And
Right.
the logo on this thing was a monkey carrying a hand grenade because they seemed to think that they were speaking of guerrilla warfare
Oh,
rather than
jeepers.
guerrilla. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That sounds like the kind of like bad cartoon show someone might have made, thinking, amusing
This
or
was
something.
this was
But
Mattel that put the toy out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
no, I mean, I could totally see a video game called Guerrilla Warfare being a thing with cartoon gorillas running around shooting guns and shit,
Didn't you have
like
something?
like 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 knowingly tongue in cheek.
Oh, of course. Didn't you have something like that with Donkey Kong?
Kind of,
Well,
sorta.
I got the impression that Donkey Kong was named that for some
No, I'm
silly.
just I'm just being I'm just being a pain in the arse. I'll admit to it.
Well, how is that new?
Yeah, basically. You know what I'd like though? I would really love if I had the space for it and the money to buy it. I would love one of those freestanding Donkey Kong machines.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because
I would get Galaga if I had the opportunity, but I get the desire.
I love is it Galaga or Galaga or whatever? Yeah, where
I
you
always said Galaga, but I've never actually seen it like pronounced by someone who is an authority.
I played that like crazy way back when.
Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was great the way
Galaga.
you'd have the formations breaking up and the whole sound as they curved around and keep dropping shit on you.
No, what I would like is the one oh, I don't remember the name of it, but you got to play the archer, the sorcerer,
Oh, Gauntlet.
gauntlet. Yes.
I don't know if I know that one.
Oh, come on. You'd
Oh
know it if you said
gosh.
Blue Elf is about to die. That one.
Yes.
Okay,
Red
doesn't sound
wizard
Warrior,
familiar.
is
shot
about
the
to
food.
die.
That one. Although
Uh,
actually there was one I really loved. I think it was called Smash TV, where it was
Mm-hmm.
basically like a blood sport being
Mm-hmm.
televised and you're going around killing these like mindless cloned mutants or something. And you get the sort of game show 80s style game show announcers like big money, big prizes. I love it. And
it
all that. It
sounds
was
vaguely familiar.
very entertaining
Mm-hmm.
game back in the day.
Okay, so you're battling these mindless zombies or whatever. In other words, Americans. Um, and I say that as an American myself.
Hmm.
Medusa is about to die.
There was a
But
game.
like seriously, Smash TV was basically like Death Race 2000 or Battle Royale or Hunger Games, I guess. But it was basically like you're being thrown into an arena to
Mm-hmm.
kill as much as you can possibly kill.
Yep.
Oh boy, that sounds like something that would really vent my frustrations.
Well, and
Yeah.
that was similar to Gauntlet. I mean, you just yeah.
Well, yeah, but the difference was that one of them was a friggin' game show and the other was a
Right.
dungeon crawl. I
Yeah.
mean, you know.
The, the, there was a video game, a freestanding game I remember from the mid '80s. I was working at a corporate thing downtown Cleveland. I was on their IT department. We would go to lunch at a place on Chester Avenue, and they had this freestanding adventure game, basically, where you had a knight type character, whatever, uh, going through a series of passages or whatever you want to call it, and then you chose at a fork in the road the way you wanted that guy to go. and
Goodness.
the outcome was dependent on that. That's an interesting little thing going on over there. Yeah.
That's Smash TV. You see, like you just win a brand new toaster. Was
Oh
one of the
my.
things,
Oh, okay.
and you're in this big arena. You
Huh.
see, and then
Okay.
I don't know. I gotta see if I can find footage of the guy who's like the game show host dude. Well, okay, like here he is with the two babes,
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right?
those those graphics remind me of what is it, Larry the Lounge Lizard, or whatever the hell that was called.
Oh, Leisure Suit
Mm-hmm.
Larry and the Land of Lounge Lizards. Yeah,
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
You guys
had
don't
that
mind if
damn
I play a
game.
Game Boy game, right?
I don't just have that game. I have the whole series on Steam.
Oh, it's still out there. Leisure Suit Larry. That's the one I remember.
Yes,
That's the
Leisure
one I
Suit
had.
Larry
Yes.
Yes,
and the
yes,
Land
yes,
of
yes,
Lounge
yes.
Lizards. Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
And my understanding was that came from the character in Three's Company, Larry, with the whole leisure suit thing going. Is that the way
I
that
don't know
worked?
about that part.
I don't know.
Or one
I
was
don't
named
recall
for
that
the other
part.
or some bullshit. I don't know. I have to look that up. But it was a
Yeah.
fun game. Yeah, definitely. Had a few nice tongue-in-cheek moments and some sly jokes. And then there's this
Yeah.
cat being a cat. Yeah, that's you. Meow. Meow. Yeah. Cat.
Well,
Oh, Lord.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, you were saying something about a dungeon crawl game where it was like you came to a fork in the road or something.
Yeah, you had the joystick that you would have on games like Centipede or
Oh,
whatever it is, and then the guy would come to a fork, and then it's okay, either go left or go right, and that would affect the play of the game. And there are all sorts of interesting ways the character died.
okay.
Um,
Now, question for you because this sounds remarkably like Dragon's Lair. Was the graphics were the graphics uh like animated as in they look literally like a Disney cartoon?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's Dragon's Lair.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my word. Okay then, I have to look this. Oh man, oh man, I love that. Oh, cause yeah, it's been so long since I've.
That was Don Bluth. That was animated by Don Bluth's company, as well as Space Ace, the sci-fi equivalent.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm looking at the pictures. Yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. No, you want to know about this stuff, you come to me.
All right. Shut up, Clarion.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, because this was an '80s game. Obviously, that's
yeah, cause
yeah.
I was working for the place in Christ,
Yeah, I
84.
remember that one.
Wait a minute, what do we got here? I need to get the Okay then.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it was extra popular or anything, but it got a shout out in Stranger Things, which you need to watch if you haven't. And it was like a minor plot point in the first episode of season 3.
Okay then.
Such a great show.
God, yeah, we
I
used
mean,
to go to this place. I forget what their signature dish was, but most of us liked it. We'd get that, and then it's like, okay, I'll put my quarter in and play, and then you're through, and then the next guy comes up, I'll put my. That's the way we did our lunch hour. Um, it's just too bad that the management was dicks.
I have to actually say something about the whole Dragon's Lair thing because I'm surprised that they didn't get any lawsuits for the whole sexualization of Princess Daphne.
it was the '80s. No one even thought that was a thing yet.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I was working for. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of the place. Workwear Incorporated. They made uniform clothing. I was working for them in what the fuck was it, 84 or 85. something on that line. And yeah, this was back when that sort of thing just didn't come up.
Yeah, I mean, you know the old stereotype about the boss chasing his sexy secretary around a desk?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could still make those jokes and people thought it was kitschy and cute.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing, Sylvia?
Yeah.
And why are
Also,
you
in case
doing
you-
it? Let's
And
see.
in case you guys hear any weird
She's a
noises
cat.
coming from my computer, I'm playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon on my computer.
And masturbating while you do it.
At least you
No,
said it.
God, no.
No,
Yeah,
actually,
there
I'm
we
not.
are. All right.
Well, you know, it seemed a reasonable enough guess.
Oh my, oh my.
I
David.
haven't played this game in so long.
And that would explain the excessive use of tissues.
Yes. Let's pile on tornado today.
Oh my goodness.
You guys are so uncool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
No, we're just old farts.
Yeah,
hey,
pretty much.
you. I am not. Although, oh, okay, this one bothered me, and I'm hoping that it's just because the guy was German and didn't know better. But as I was dropping off the computer at the computer place today, the dude behind the counter called me Mrs. Farr, and I'm like, bitch, I'm not married. I don't have kids. At worst, it should be Ms. Mrs. Let me come over there and beat your blonde ass to death, bitch.
Out of curiousness, how old was this guy?
I don't know. He probably wasn't too much more than 30, if he was 30 at all.
That's interesting.
Oh, he's
Because
a
I
baby.
know there was a time when the rules were that if you were not sure of the marital status of the woman you were addressing, you should pay her the compliment and assume she's married. Yes, that's the way it was put.
Well, in this damn country, it's assumed she's young. And
Yeah, well-
don't.
Well, geez,
Yeah.
please excuse me, the both of you, because yeah, anymore it seems that you are what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of disappear at 35. You get much older than that, and you're just not worth anything.
Oh my gosh. A delivery man came to the door last year. It was last year. And he was dropping off a package, and I had opened the door because I had seen the truck drive up, and I'm like, thank you. He's like, not a problem, ma'am. And I was like, not a ma'am, thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm accustomed to that. I mean, everybody in this
Yeah.
neighborhood does the ma'am thing, and it's at least they're not misgendering me.
yeah.
Well, there's that.
It was more that, I was always taught to address an older woman as ma'am. And now I'm the older woman. It's like, no, I don't want to be called ma'am.
Yeah.
I'd rather be called
well,
Ms.
that too.
You know, I was briefly flattered recently when they carded me when I was getting a drink. And then
Yeah.
I noticed, oh, wait, the law is that you have to card everybody, no matter how young or old they look. So that was not the compliment I thought it might have been.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. I got carded a couple of years ago, and I'm like, don't you see the gray hairs in my head?
oh,
I have this
geez.
nice gray widow's streak started.
Oh, I started going gray in what was it? My late 30s or my early 40s?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, back when I used to buy such things at the stores, there were the signs at the registers. If you look even remotely under 40, we're going to card you if you're trying to buy cigarettes. You know, one of those things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Nowadays, it's card everybody because too many people have not been following the laws, and too many stores have gotten pegged with the
Lawsuits.
Yeah, the ATF
Well, is it?
under secret shopper PP people.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I mean,
Quality. Oh yeah.
gone are the days. I think I've talked
Well,
about this before. When I was at uni the first time, I was a freshman at
mhm,
17 years old. I was
right.
making the booze runs to the Ohio
Mhm.
State store for the guys who were 20 years old because I never got carded, and the Ohio drinking age was 21.
That's weird.
Hmm.
I everybody thought that I looked in my 30s at the age of
Mhm.
17. I mean,
Well,
now it's the other way around, and okay, I'm not going to complain. You know, everybody thinks I'm 10 years younger than I really am, and it still doesn't get me a
mhm.
date. But you know, that's beside the
Yeah.
Well,
point.
see,
Well, and then
I
people still think I'm in my 20s sometimes. I'm like, bitch, I'm 44, but I'll take it.
I was one of those. I had a manager when I was working at Wally World. Yes, I worked at Wally World, unfortunately.
No.
Whoa,
Um,
whoa, 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 whoa. Rewind. Wally World?
that's what we used to call Walmart, Wally World.
Yeah,
Because
there
you
are
know where my brain went.
No,
Disney.
National Lampoon's Family
Yeah,
Vacation.
yeah.
National
never
Lampoon,
saw
because
it.
we were going to Wally World was the name of the not actually Disney theme park that the Griswold
Oh
family
no,
was headed
no.
toward. Okay.
Wall Hell, Hell Mart, whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it. We
Yeah,
called
there
it
was the
Wally
whole.
World.
My ex used to
Yeah,
work at Lowe's, and they called it Blows, and they called
yeah.
the competition. What was it? Home
Home Depot.
Despot. Home Despot.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
said home despot all the time.
Oh, okay.
Right. Well, anyway, I had this manager who told me um, I had carded somebody and she had an absolute shit fit because I didn't card the 80-year-old man in front of her and he was
Hmm.
buying alcohol, but he looked his age. I was trying to compliment her by carding her. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yes.
she had an absolute shit fit. And my manager was like, just sell the alcohol or just sell the cigarettes. Don't bother carding.
Oh man, that's the way to
Oh,
get.
I said no. I can't afford to. I can't afford to have a $5,000 fine. I will not just sell. If I think somebody is under the age, I'm gonna card them.
They
Or
will.
if I think they're
Yeah,
right,
they will find
and
you, the cashier,
right,
and
mm-hmm,
take it out on the store.
right,
Yeah,
right, and we basically, I basically refused to run the cigarette aisle until she understood that no, I wasn't just going to card somebody because, or not card somebody just because they looked like they were old enough. Well, 2 hours later, I had a customer come up and I uh, asked for their ID because they were acting funny, if you know what I mean. And
Sure.
there were several clearly under the age of 21 people with them. And the 20 under 21 people were the ones who put up the alcohol on my register. And then they were looking around for the person that was going to pay for it. And I'm like,
oh.
uh huh. I knew what was going on here.
Well, okay, in a situation like that, and I don't know exactly how you handle it, but if I remember correctly, even if the person who's paying for it is like 57 years old, you're supposed to
Right.
refuse that because the
Yep.
alcohol is for the kids.
Right. And that's what I did. I carded. I tried carding the kids, and she came up to me again and said, "Is he over the age?" And I'm like, "Yes." Well, then just sell it. And I'm like, "No,
No,
I
you
won't do it." And I
can't.
signed off the register. I
Yeah.
signed off the register, and she's like, "Well, why are you refusing to sell it?" I was like, "Because he's not the one who brought up the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
The kids brought up the alcohol, and then he came over 5 minutes later. I was stuck waiting for him to come up to pay for it.
Yeah,
So
that's
clearly
a
they
red
had to
flag right there.
find somebody to pay for it.
Oh man.
And she's like, "Well, I'm going to get somebody else to ring it up then. You need to go off the floor. You need to go home."
Okay.
I was like,
Hmm.
"Okay." And 2 hours later, the store got dinged
Ah ha ha.
because one of those kids was an ATF agent.
All right.
And they told my manager, they were like, your cashier was right. She could not legally sell this because he was not the one who brought up the alcohol. And your star, the cashier who rang up this sale, is now going to have to pay a $5,000 fine.
Now, would they also fine the manager for ordering
Yes.
the cashier to do it? Okay.
Mhm.
And then what?
Yes.
All the way up to the store manager?
No, she got removed from being a front end manager. She got removed from any point of sale.
Okay.
Because she was when you go through training at Walmart, you have computerized training, and in the computerized training, it tells you if you have any sort of question about a sale of alcohol or cigarettes, you are supposed to refuse the sale. And these are the rules, these are the laws. These laws cannot be broken. These laws will have you fined or thrown in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And not only could I have suffered a $5,000 fine, I could have spent 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
And I'm a single mom, and
Yeah.
and Tornado he wasn't even in his teens yet.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, so and she was severely pissed off about the whole situation, and they were like, your cashier did the right thing. You didn't listen to her. She did the right thing. She followed the laws. And they started retraining all of the cashiers because this woman had severely messed up a bunch of cashiers on sales because she was telling them just sell it.
Now, I'm curious. Did the management take it out on you?
No.
I'm amazed.
Nope.
I really am, even though you were clearly right.
thought
How
I
did
saw
you
that
never
coming.
get dinged for it?
Yes, I totally thought I saw that coming, that they would take it out on you.
Because I wasn't the one who messed up.
Well,
Well,
no.
sure, but it still seems like the kind of thing where you fucked with the management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And therefore, the management is going to be pissed at you, not at themselves for fucking up.
Nope. The store manager, I was actually friends with the store manager at the time. I had known him for years, and he's like, you can't take it out on her. She followed what our guidelines and our policy is. If you're going to be the ones messing up the policy, then you need to face the consequences of it.
Boy, that's unusual.
It's not her fault you were breaking the law.
God, that's unusual.
It's weird
is.
how
Well,
many
Scott
times they
was
put.
Scott was a really good manager, but unfortunately, my last year of working for Walmart, he went to another store.
Oh, no.
It's weird how many times like incompetence seems to rise to the top with
Yes,
management.
absolutely. Well, that's the
It
Peter
does.
principle.
I mentioned that time once before. I mentioned it in passing where I was working at a video store for 2 weeks before I was made the assistant manager because everyone else there was a complete fucking screw up. And when I left the job, like 2 or 3 weeks after I left the job, I found out that the manager was busted for like dealing meth or something out of the back room of the, and like half the staff got busted for it. And I was like, I left that job at just the right moment.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
and Jackson, she had to pay the fine. The store didn't.
Right.
They didn't pay it
Right.
for her.
Yeah.
She was by law. She received a fine. They actually give you, I don't know if it's a ticket or something that you have to take to court that you have to pay.
Yeah, and you have to present it and pay the fine on presentation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Or
So-
you can make payment arrangements if your income isn't enough to pay it outright.
Yeah, I mean,
That is something I've often wondered about when like someone gets in trouble and has to pay a massive, massive fine that's more than their holdings, more than their savings, more than any of the money they've got. What do? I figured there was a payment plan of some sort, but
Right.
I never
Well-
actually like knew.
Yeah, I got a ticket. I had forgotten that school was starting and that school had started that day, and I was doing the what I was used to, the summer school speed limit, or the summer speed limit, which is 35, and forgot that it dropped to 25 once school started. So I paid a severe, I think it was a $400 ticket for
Okay.
speeding in a school zone.
Yeah.
And they're like, "We know you slowed down, but school started today." And I'm like, "Ah, shit." So I got caught going 10 miles over the speed limit in a school zone. And oh, that hurt. So I told the judge, I was like, I can't afford to pay this outright. And she's like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. Every time you get paid, since you get paid twice a month, um, you have to pay $50 a month to pay the ticket off." So, and I'm like, "Does it matter how I do it?" And they're like, "No, you can break it down as much as you want as long as you pay that $50 a month."
I don't know. It's weird.
So,
Maybe it's just me. It feels like there ought to be a certain amount of leniency on the very first day of school, where it's like maybe you didn't
mhm,
realize, maybe you weren't informed. It feels almost like the cliche of the cop who's got a like a traffic stop set up, and the bush is covering the stop sign. You
Oh
mhm,
know,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
they catch you for running a stop sign when there's no way you could ever have seen it. You know what
right.
I mean?
Well, one of the
It
Well,
feels like
things.
there ought to be like a one-day leniency for not
yeah.
realizing school is in,
Well, they
especially
had
if
this
you're not a
is
parent, which you
one
were,
of
but
the
that's not the point.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
they had one of these little yellow flashing lights that warns you before
Uh,
when you get into the school zone, and I wasn't thinking about it because there's a button that you can push anytime you want to cross the street, so that even if you're not if someone's if school's not in, had crossed the street, the light would continue to flash for about 5 minutes.
hmm.
So yeah, I was just thinking somebody had crossed the street. It never even occurred to me. School time, because by that time Tornado was out of school. He'd been out of school for almost a year. I didn't think about it.
hmm. An interesting thing that would go on back in the old neighborhood. I mean, back when I was living in the Cleveland area, there was a suburb called Lindale.
Ouch, Beach. Wow.
Who? What? Where? What? Oh
Huh?
Beach 8, he got
no!
caught doing 70 and a 50 on Staten Island and paid a $900 ticket.
Yeah, they're
Woo.
yeah, they got that thing going over there. Definitely. Well, in Lindale, the cops would stand on the off ramp of I-90 that was going along the lakeshore. There was no way onto or off of that ramp in Lindale, but the Lindale cops would
Mhm.
still stand there, and anybody going like 1 centimeter per second over the speed limit got nailed. And the thing is,
Mhm.
it was right off I-90. You
Mhm.
couldn't slow down enough without causing a severe problem.
Right.
Including accidents and everything else like that. But oh man, that was their entire budget for a very long time until it finally went through the court system and the courts said, no, you can't do that.
You
Um,
have to
Mhm.
give him an appropriate amount of time to slow down.
not
Oh
only
god,
that,
don't even get me started on that shit. My mom never realized that on-ramps were there to get up speed. She would get
Right.
to the end of an on-ramp
And
and
stop.
merge and then speed up.
Oh God.
well, even
Talk about
worse than
danger.
that. Okay, I-376 near Homestead, where I used to live.
Mhm.
There's an on ramp, and then you would go from the street onto the on ramp, and you're going onto the highway, and at the merge point, there's a stop sign.
What?
Yes, there is a stop sign on this on ramp, and it's
What
crazy
the
enough to merge
fuck?
on anyway. And the stop sign really fucks things up. And it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Now I have seen people stopped at the in the on the on ramps because there was just so much traffic, and usually that's because there's been an accident. You know, people can't really merge too much for whatever reason. Oh, Columbia. And
Ow, 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 ow.
Columbia, what are you doing to the nice
what did she
lady?
do? You
She
okay?
decided to use my thigh as a launch pad because apparently she didn't want to be on my lap, and claws dug in pretty goddamn hard, and I guess they just literally hit a nerve or something because that hurt more than it ever has.
Yeah. And we had people stopped on an on ramp one time, and there was no traffic, so it was good. But I don't know if they were lost and they didn't know where they were going, but they were stopped on the on ramp, and it's like, not a safe place to stop people.
Oh man, one thing I remember, back again in the late 80s, this might have been around 87, 88, something like
Stop
that.
that. It was contagious.
On, I believe it was I 275 in the Toledo neighborhood. There's a stop sign on the interstate.
What?
Yes,
What?
it was one of the very few interstate highways in the United States that had stop sign on the interstate highway. I don't know that it has that anymore. You know, remember this was a
Why
while
would it
back.
have a stop sign?
Uh,
No,
because
is
this is interesting. A regular street might have been a state highway, or it might have been a municipal street, or whatever, crossed the interstate highway. It was not controlled access.
okay. Here's the thing. There are like I've been looking around in Vermont in Google Earth VR, and there are a number of bits of highway that kind of just turn into actual city street and then become highway again after they leave the.
I know those.
Like that. Was it like that or not? Where the
No,
no?
this
Okay.
this was an interstate. This was an interstate highway going north, north south, and then east west. There was a city street that crossed it. So you had you had stop, or you might have had a traffic light or something like that. It was all at grade.
Weird.
And
Well,
That sounds dangerous.
it is. I don't think that it's that way anymore. But you know, remember this is like
They
30
probably
years
built
ago.
okay, here's the thing though. I can totally top that.
Oh yeah.
Though,
Oh yeah.
because I saw there was a street. I don't think it was a highway. I think it was just regular city street that had a stop sign because the airport runway was right there. The goddamn runway, and so they would have like a stoplight that would tell them stop. A plane's about to take off, and then now you can go.
All right, I love every minute of it. Oh my word!
I mean, how fucked up is that?
Has that
That's
appeared
really
on,
fucked up.
on any of those YouTube videos with the weirdest
Probably.
airports?
Probably, but I just know that is a thing somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's in the U.S. Although I think there's actually one in Mexico too. And it's just like, who designs that? Really? I mean, that's bizarre.
Wow.
There are a couple that I
Especially since
know
I've
of.
had no flying planes go past me, and oh my gosh, those fuckers are
Those
loud.
things are scary.
And I'm like, if you're in a car, stopped right there. I mean, because there is no clearance. You are right there on the runway with that stoplight. I mean, that's gonna blast your fucking eardrums out.
Oh man, there's something close to that in one of the suburbs here, but it's not crossing the runway. The runway ends at, and then you've got a few feet of grass, and then you've got the street. So you can still get your roof clipped in case a pilot's coming in exceptionally low. And then remember going to Hopkins back when I lived in Cleveland, back when I was a kid. The slimy bastards would load us into the car, and we'd sit by the hangars where Lewis Research Center was, the NASA facility, and the planes would come in over us, and we'd sit there watching that shit.
Right.
But yeah, it's all sorts of fun.
See, now I'm picturing that scene from Wayne's World where they're sitting on the hood of a car and like, oh, look up, here it comes, and the plane just right over them,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
I got a little bit of that when I was in Chicago a couple of years ago. I was in the what was it, the Motel 6 or some shit like that, which was right under the approach path to O'Hare. Oh man, I could read the tail numbers on the aircraft as they were coming in.
Although I gotta tell you, what's worse than living near an airport, and I realize maybe this is my own personal perspective, but in Seattle they have in the summer what's called Seafair, and the Blue Angels for a fucking week will be doing stunts over the city.
Okay,
And
then.
I lived right on the flight path, so I'd look out my window and get a sonic boom going by, and I'm like, God damn you people are like every Seattleite will bitch about the Blue Angels when Seafair rolls around.
That's the interesting thing. There was some sort of air show going on when I was in Chicago, and the Blue Angels were practicing above Wrigley Field when I was there to see the game. That was interesting. Yeah. The deafening roar.
I got a better one for you. Living on an island that's 16 miles wide by 50 miles long, living right beside the flight line of C-141s.
Oh my.
Okay, hold my beer. I live in San Diego where we've got a naval base, and I'm pretty sure there's an army base somewhere. And every now and then, for whatever reason, they decide that the helicopters have to fly way low over the city. And they won't just go. Sometimes they decide to hover.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, see, when they're doing repair work for the engines on the C-141s, they'll rev them up. They'll throttle them up, and it's like for like 20 minutes. And it vibrates. I mean, you can literally hear your glass in your windows going.
Jesus.
And it's rattling and shaking because the engine noise is so loud. And it doesn't stop at nighttime. It doesn't stop at dark because flights go in and out 24/7.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So you got used to airplane noise.
And then you saved a lot of egg crates, right? And just, layer after layer after layer.
No. Once you get into base housing, even though you're closer to the flight line, they insulate the buildings better.
Oh, how nice.
So off base housing, oh my God, it's so noisy in Japan, in Okinawa. It was so noisy. That's why TC, Tornado, can sleep through just about anything. Because he was a baby when we were over there. I mean, ignored everything, thank God. I was one of those lucky moms that he actually, at 3 months old, started sleeping through the night.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Wait, seriously? 3 months?
Yes, 3 months.
I've never quite understood. Like someone says that they slept like a baby last night, and they assume that means they got a lot of rest. I'm like, if I ever tell you I slept like a baby, it meant I woke up every 2 hours to shit myself and cry.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the thing. The first night he slept through the night, I woke up the next morning like, did you feed the baby last night? No. Did you? No. Oh my God, did we not hear him cry?
Jeez.
No. And as soon as I started moving, I heard wah 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 wah. It's like,
Mom!
Oh yeah, Jackson Heath mentions it as well. The whole sonic boom. He says I used to live
Yeah.
near the Hill Air Force Base. Low-flying jets terrify the piss out of my 14-year-old cat. I
14-year-old
remember
cat.
when we got the announcements over the radio that there will be a sonic boom at whatever time. When some experimental aircraft would be coming into Lewis or something like that. And
Right.
in your backyard, boing, one of these deals. Well, actually, it's not one; it's two of them. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point. And that was not an everyday thing, but it was often enough that it was not unusual when you heard the next one. Now
Well,
it's
I wish I could hear a sonic boom in real
Well,
life.
see, we didn't have that in Missouri. What we had was they would send out notices. They'd have police trolling the streets warning that they were doing blasting in the area. And
okay.
they'd warn everybody. Dynamite.
Because
Oh, roads, putting in roads. We're in central Missouri, you have sheer rock cliffs that they have to blast to break up, either for building or for road construction or whatever.
And every time we
And-
passed by those signs, I told Mom, turn your phone off.
Yeah, because they tell you turn your phone off because some phones operate on the same frequency as the blasting caps.
Yep.
well, you'd think they'd design the blasting caps to not work on that same frequency.
Right, you would, but
Well, I
Yeah.
think
Remember,
it's the case that
Remember, all military technology is built by the lowest bidder.
well, that too, and I think that a lot of the blasting caps are old enough that the telephones didn't exist yet.
Well, there are bits of Vermont where roads, apparently they decided, no, the roads won't go around the big honkin' rocks. We'll
They'll go
just
through it.
carve like a small canal through them and put the road that way. And it's I don't know, it's a feature of my childhood that I don't see anywhere but Vermont. So when I see something like it, my first thought is, well, it's just like back in the old days.
Well, I've
Yeah.
seen some of the
And-
We
photos.
saw that all the time in Missouri.
yeah, where you'd have a cliff on either side of you and you'd have signs, watch out for falling rock.
Oh yeah, well we used to see that a lot too in Ohio, Western Ohio, and then here in Pennsylvania as well.
Oh yeah,
A lot of
Pennsylvania.
road cuts here, which is quite
Yeah, where they go
amazing.
through the mountain.
Yeah, and then the other fun one,
Yeah.
I've seen the photographs anyway, out in California, Northern California, where you have the tunnel that's cut through the sequoia or the redwood.
I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad took me there.
Yeah, it's kind of neat, It's what amazes the shit out of me though is that you don't have the creosote dripping all over everything. But
Yeah.
well,
Isn't creosote flammable?
very.
Yes. That's the stuff that gets stuck inside your chimney if you don't clean it.
I was gonna say chimney
Yeah,
fires.
my parents decided, hey, we're environmentalist hippie types. We're not going to get gas heating. We're going to have a wood stove, which I always found mildly annoying. But yeah, I heard about creosote a lot from my parental units because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And having to clean the chimney every year or the stovepipe every year to make sure that it's not got a lot of buildup.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days I just like to collect creosote.
No, you
No.
Why?
No, it's sticky and nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think of playing in road tar. It's just a slightly different
Yeah.
color. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Now,
like, you
of
ever
course,
see
my-
those pictures of old timey chimney sweeps just covered in ick? There's a
Uh-huh.
reason.
That is creosote.
My big question, though, is, well, isn't creosote located in evergreen trees, too?
That's its primary
It's in
source.
any burning wood. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like creosote forms in chimneys because you're burning wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from
And
incomplete
so
combustion.
one might make the logical assumption that there's creosote in wood somehow.
Yeah. See, Talent, most people don't burn evergreen because of the
Because of the
sap in
creosote.
it
Yes, that's the
and
whole
the
thing.
amount of creosote that comes from burning it. It is more likely to cause creosote buildup.
So
Oh yeah, we have those in Missouri too.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. You see this in
Mhm.
Vermont all the freaking time. If you travel
Yep.
the highways at all, you will find this.
Yep, that
Oh,
looks
that looks
just
like Pennsylvania. Yeah.
that looks like Missouri.
Are those the boreholes down which the explosives were put?
I
On
don't
the
know.
left, on that, because when you're going like the Pennsylvania Turnpike, for example, you go through some of the road cuts, you will see what remains of the boreholes drilled down through the rock into which the
Yeah, that looks
explosives
like
were
boreholes.
tamped. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it goes boom, and the entire rock face just goes off, and they are very, very characteristic.
Turn a little bit more to the right. A little bit more to the right.
Yeah, the holes are
Like-
foot and a half, 2
Yeah.
feet apart,
Stop.
and maybe about 2 inches in diameter. Yeah.
Yeah, like this straight.
Yeah,
There
that's
was
it.
a-
Oh boy, is that ever? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something I from my childhood. It conjures up memories because I haven't seen it in Seattle or in San Diego. The closest we have in San Diego is there's a lot of I'm not sure what the word is for it because it's like it's not desert, but it's not grass either. You know what I'm talking about? It's like lots of little tiny grass-like plants everywhere.
Oh,
Steps?
no,
Kinda, but no.
pampas grass is what it's called.
Well, but I mean, it's the kind of terrain, not just the plant.
Tundra? No, that's frozen.
Well, but that's the thing is tundra is what's going through my head too. But no, it's desert style tundra. But the point being that we have that in San Diego, and it kind of looks vaguely similar, but it's definitely not rock because a lot of it is on hills
It's
and
not
stuff.
savanna. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Actually, Savannah's closer than anything
Yeah,
we've said.
it's
It's
kinda
not.
like
It's not important. The
sear
point is that
grass.
I haven't seen those like highway carved
scrubby.
through rock things on the West Coast.
That kind of scrub grass
Yeah.
would be the terminology because it's not an actual patch. It's scrubby and scraggly and pops up here and there.
So
Let me see.
yeah, I have no idea how we got on this topic.
I have no idea. No, this is what we do. We're really good at it. I think a lot of people.
We never
enjoy
stay
it.
on topic.
I mean, what is on topic? Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Okay, let's see what we've got. Oh my, have I been through
Yeah.
there?
Where?
Let's see, Fermanagh Township, Juniata County, Pennsylvania. What I'm going to try to do is find the well, okay, you'll get the picture from the page here. Okay,
Here.
copy that, and then we're going to go over here. What you'll see, there we are, in more or less the upper right, now where you have the name and township, and you have a little picture down there. That's an example of some of the folding that goes on in the mountains.
Here you go.
Holy shit! Sorry, I'm looking at
I'm
like the incoming results. Apparently, Amy Klobuchar has more than double Elizabeth Warren's percentage right now.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg, like they have about a 5 or 6 point spread right now, or yeah, 5 or 6. Like Bernie's at 27.8, Pete's at 22.3. But
Okay.
I was looking. Wow, Tulsi Gabbard is even positive at the moment. I'm surprised. She's above Andrew Yang. That's just weird. But Elizabeth Warren is at 9.6 at the moment. Maybe Klobuchar is at
Isn't
like
that
20.
good?
Okay,
We
so I
don't
guess
Warren, do we?
Warren got a real hard kick there a little while back, huh?
Yeah.
Still,
Oh.
Bernie's kicking ass. So you
Kate,
know
That's a good thing.
What?
I linked in the internal chat. I linked an image. See if that's what you're thinking.
Why do you call him Booty Judge?
Where I
more
don't.
or
Oh,
less-
it's
Internal chat.
internal chat. Stop
Yeah.
doing that. I'm never looking there. I'm seriously
Well,
not.
that's why I said internal chat.
Vaguely similar, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, hell, I could fire up Google Earth again and.
Well, that was what I was. That's the only thing I could think of is those little pockets of grass tucked in sand, spread out. And it does say it's on a savanna, so.
Hey, Kate, I got a question.
Hmm.
Why do you call a Pete? Is it Pete Booty Judge?
Yes.
Why do you call him that?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Okay, it's a
Most
nickname.
people can't
It's
say
a
his last
nickname
name.
he got from the gay community because remember, Pete is gay, so
Yeah.
he judges booty. He's the booty judge. I mean, his name is something like what is it?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Yeah,
Buttigieg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's some.
So Buttigieg is close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny, and honestly, I don't like him very much because of his
Neither do I, to tell you the absolute
And I
truth.
figure if I get the opportunity to mock him ever so slightly, I shall.
But no, this is really nice. Thanks for the news, Kate, because it warms the cockles of my heart a little bit. And then, okay, somebody look up a cockle and find out what the fuck it is.
Well, you know, I know what they're like seashells or some shit is cockles.
Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, what are seashells doing in the muscular
Okay,
organ that's in my
cockles
chest?
is a chamber within a seashell.
Hmm.
Like a conch shell.
Like a cochlea of
Yeah,
your ear.
it's like
Oh, excuse me, please.
a space within
No.
a shell. So a space within your heart.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll work. But I'm so happy that Mr. Sanders is doing as well as he is. I'm amazed at how little hate I've got so far. I mean, not that I'm anybody or anything, but you know, I have publicly endorsed Bernie Sanders, and I intend to stand by him as long as he's a decent person to stand by. And it would be hi Glober Mom. It would be nice to see things take a little bit of a change. I know. Okay, here's the thing. I mean, okay, Bernie gets the presidency, that sort of thing. People are still going to be all over him because you know you're still not going to have passage of the things he really wants unless you've got a big change down ballot. Because
Oh yeah,
remember,
we need to flip the Congress too.
yeah,
Absolutely.
President is not a dictator. You know, sorry, Mr. Trump, but that's not the way it works. And I mean, even were everything to be Democrat. I mean, we're the White House Democrat, we're the Senate Democrat, we're the House Democrat. You'd still have enough going back and forth. Remember what happened during the initial stage of Obama's presidency, when you know the House and Senate had Democrat majorities, and you had Obama in the White House, and they still couldn't get shit passed.
That's not the way I recall it. The way I recall it was that Obama was the compromiser in chief, and
Yes.
he started at the middle. He started where it's like, hey guys, hey Republicans, let me reach across the aisle. Here's a good deal. And they said, oh, well, now that that's your starting position, we're going to bargain for more of what we want. And it just kept snowballing from there, is that Obama was not asserting himself. He was not pushing for anything. He was trying to compromise, and Republicans don't compromise.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, he was an idiot that way, absolutely. And I wish I could have the opportunity to say to his face, Mr. Obama, you were a jerk. You were an idiot.
mhm.
But
Well, he's actually come out and publicly said that if this were the 80s, he'd be considered a moderate Republican.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And okay, Peach, you say we need a blue tsunami in November. Um, this is going to sound shitty of me, but I am not entirely certain that a big change to the Democrat Party would be that much of a help. I mean, it might avert immediate collapse of the government into what's the word, totalitarianism. But remember,
Mm-hmm.
I put it in the description here. Um, Republicrats or Demublicans, they're all the same. Really, they're all corporatists.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, this is why I'm losing. I've lost hope already. I have lost hope entirely.
I think a lot of
Well,
people feel that way.
I don't know. There's times I wonder, are we headed towards an honest to goodness revolution, like armed revolution? Because I think
I
we
don't
might. If
know.
we hurt people enough, we might.
I don't know if I should
Um,
say anything right now. I will. Okay, come
Well, I'm
come
not
and
saying we
come
should.
and get me.
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean, I'm not saying we should. I'm saying I'm wondering if we're headed in that direction.
well, I was
it,
about to say I hope so. And
Mm,
then when the shots are fired, let me be in the firing line first off. Just get me and have it over.
honestly, you know, there need with Trump having done what he's done, there needs to be some drastic changes.
Yes.
Um, whether it be uh, a ratification of the Constitution, changes to the Constitution,
That won't happen.
amendments to the Constitution.
No, that
It's
won't
happened
happen.
before. It takes a lot, but maybe after what Trump's done, you know, there was that one image that was shared. Uh, I don't remember who we were talking to. If I guess it was on Sunday, we were doing your coffee with lavender, and that one image you showed where the woman was like, blah blah blah. If Trump had done, if they had done this, blah blah blah, and they're like, well, Trump did this. Who
Oh yeah.
cares?
Was
yes,
that you
yes,
Yeah,
sharing
that.
that, Kate?
yeah.
That was me. I
Yeah,
shared
I
that.
thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so.
And where they're like, well, if Trump had well, if he had messed with the witnesses, uh, would you think that was wrong? And the guy's like, and she's like, yes. Well, Trump messed with the witnesses. Who cares?
Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, that's just par for the course with the current presidency. He has proven that he doesn't really care about middle America or the poverty stricken. All he cares about are the rich people who can pay him.
And then the other thing that is cared or not cared or whatever it is, there's been the article that I mentioned, and it's not only the evangelicals; it's the hyper
Hmm.
conservatives all the way around. They
Right,
let the GOP get away with what they are doing simply because
right,
they get what they want.
right.
You know, they they,
And
they, they get the policies they're after. And okay, so
right,
what if they're sending the country into despotism? So what if
right.
Well, but
We
they
had
could all be
it's a
blowing
cult.
each other on the floor of the Senate, and they'd be fine with it.
Well, the problem is that it's a cult of personality.
Yeah.
Is they care more about the guy than about what he does, what he doesn't
Right.
do, why. It's just Trump, 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 and
Right.
that's all they care about.
Trump and MAGA, Trump and MAGA, Trump and MAGA.
It's
And
it honestly,
they
it's
don't.
like watching people following a celebrity around rather than people caring
Well,
about a
Trump.
politician's policies.
Well,
Well,
Glober
Trump
Mom's
is
got it.
considered a celebrity.
Well, yes, you know
it
what I'm
is
saying is they're treating him
right.
like one.
Yeah.
Right.
Glober Mom's got it as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter what party takes over in November. The country will always lose. There is always bickering across the aisle. I am for term limits for the both houses. Well, I'm not so sure that term limits are the panacea, but I'll consider them, if there's a good reason to do
Right.
so. I mean, we see where term limits got us in 1947, right? Because there's a term limit on the presidency, but there's still a problem.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, there should be term limits in the Senate. There should be term limits in the House because there's no way that change can take place as long as what Republicans and Democrats are currently in there that are long-standing Republicans and Democrats because they've been in there long enough to have made changes and they refuse to do it.
well, keep in mind, okay, I'm going to be the spoiler here. I always am. Keep in mind that there's a revolving door going on here. There's a what do they call them? Moving sidewalks. As soon
Escalators.
as soon as one politician
No.
leaves, there's another one right
There-
behind him to do the same fucking thing.
Right.
Well, and it's not just that. Is these people once they leave office have been corporate shills for so long that they start going on speaking tours. They get like jobs with these companies that they've been shilling for the whole time.
Yeah.
With term limits, at least these companies would have to be grooming new politicians constantly.
Right.
Well,
Like
Beach,
they couldn't afford it to have all these people in offices working for them if they had to keep paying all of them basically for life to do it.
yeah, well, Beach, I read you 5x5. Beach says if Bernie wins, I don't want to hear one word about the deficit from the right. Yeah, well, look at what's happened to the deficit and to the debt since the Trump administration started. With that whole gift to the rich, also called the tax cut.
Tax break.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Well, no, go on.
I think that's kind of where I was trailing off. I don't know what I was going to say anyway.
Well, the thing is that I have tried to get people to explain to me how the deficit and the debt and all that work, and I've never understood it. And I think it's because the paradigm in my head of what makes sense is so far off from what they're doing that there's no way for me to square that. Because I'm like, okay, but what about this? Isn't this a problem? And there's my phone. All right, I'll come back to it later because I gotta get this.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh boy, White. Well, there's the whole damn thing. I hear the people talking about the balanced budget amendment and all this other happy garbage. It's not necessarily a good thing. There are times that you need to run a deficit. For example, wartime, or to build infrastructure, that sort of thing. The place you don't want a deficit is on regular operating expenses.
Right.
You cannot run a deficit to fund the FCC,
The military.
or the military. Yeah, that sort of thing. And well, this
Right.
is the sort of thing that is happening, and this is why the budget keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And of course, there are those who will say, well, okay, well, let's cut Social Security. Let's cut. No, it doesn't work that way. You cut the less important things, and yeah, military is less important. Yes, it is. Sorry.
The military is less important than Trump's wall.
Oh, absolutely. And he's doing whatever he can think of to get that fucking wall.
Why though? I mean, they found this really, really, really
I'm
long
not going to
tunnel
pay for that
recently,
fucking
Uh-huh.
wall.
where it's like extremely long to get into the United States, and it's like, yeah, wall's not going to help, is it? If
No,
people are doing that sort of thing,
no,
it's just sort of I
oh,
want to say stop, but that might be the wrong term
no.
for
It's
the right wing that's super xenophobic, super racist.
mhm.
They're just like, well, we want the wall as a symbol. It didn't even matter if it works. We just want it there.
yes. Well, that's the whole thing. You're speaking of the
It's
tunnel in your neighborhood, right? The one that's a mile and something long, or
No,
not quite a
I,
mile
I
long.
just, I just saw
it's
an article about it. I didn't keep track of where it was.
I believe it
the
started in
wall.
Tijuana and ended in some warehouse in San Diego. Yeah.
Hmm.
The
I don't.
wall is a penile extension for Trump.
Oh yeah. Well, no.
Hmm.
And you've got the rednecks who don't like the brown people. There's
Yeah.
it's all colors working in here. By the way,
Right.
you
It's just
So, but what I
it's
was asking before about the deficit and the debt, right before I got that phone
mhm,
call, which was kind of important. It was the guy from the computer place.
oh,
mhm.
good
But
news or bad
yeah,
news or indifferent.
question is what it was, because I had put a bunch of data on the computer to try to make the thing work, and it was not anything that I needed to keep, and he wanted to make sure of that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
always a good
basically,
question to
but
ask.
I was like, okay, you know, so we've spent more than we have. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so how did we do that? And they're like, well, we borrowed or we printed our own money. I'm like, how can we just do that? Don't we have to eventually pay it off? No, we'll just keep spending and getting more money from other people. I'm like, but at some
No.
point, at some point, isn't all this just going to collapse and we'll be completely in
Yes.
debt and not able to pay for anything? And they're like, no, we'll just keep printing more money. I was like, what the
No. God damn it.
I was like, what the fuck? How does this work? How can this possibly work? And they were like,
Right.
oh, well, we've been doing it for years. It totally works. I'm like, yes, but isn't it going to collapse at some point? And they're like, nah, it'll be
Eventually.
fine. I'm like, I keep asking, I've asked multiple people how the frig this is supposed to work, and nobody gives me an answer that makes sense. And maybe it's because I'm looking at it from the perspective of someone who has their own budget to work with and knows that after a while, if I don't pay loans back, the sharks are going to come by.
Oh well, that
People are
too.
going to repossess my shit and all of
Well,
that. And I'm just like, maybe the problem is that the government is expected to work differently in some fashion from my own personal finances. But money is money. If you can't pay for everything and you're constantly borrowing, you're always in debt. Isn't that going to come back and bite you in the ass at some point?
yes,
No
it
one
is
gives me an
because
Hey,
answer.
Kate, I've
if
got
you
an answer
print
for your
dollars
question.
too.
Okay, if your answer's a joke, I don't want to hear it.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
But
No,
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how people are justifying any of this to themselves.
if you print dollars to pay the bills, each of the dollars you print is
Was
worth
worth
less than
Mm-hmm.
the. So
The previous dollar.
this is it's causing inflation, and will
Mm-hmm.
eventually cause massive devaluation, which is
Mm-hmm.
never a good thing.
It's not like
But they just don't seem to care is the thing. And I'm like, how
Right.
can you not care? What are you saying? It's the next generation's problem. Don't
Yes,
bother
that's
me
what
with
they're
it?
saying. That is what they are saying. Yes.
Well, like literally they're saying we'll
Yeah.
figure it out later. It's not my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yes.
got it. You got it. It's like
Oh,
let my kid worry about it.
That's
Let my
been
grandkid
going
worry
on.
about it. It's like fuck
Yeah.
you.
insanity. I mean, I guess that's part of why I could never be in government is I couldn't buy into the insanity.
Right.
It's like
Well,
I seem to
see,
remember AOC was saying that when she first got into Congress, people were like, you realize you're supposed to actually deal with the lobbyists, right? You realize this is how the game is played. You're not playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, is what she was told.
That's the
And she's like,
point.
yes, but I'm getting things done. I'm making it work. And they're like, yes, but this is how the game is played. You have to
Yeah.
fall in line with the rest of us. And she's like, well, no.
I
And what I'm
don't.
hoping is that in her district or whatever it is, people like that attitude of hers so much that they will keep voting for her as long as she runs.
It'd be nice.
And well, I would eventually like to see something a little bit different, as long as there's somebody behind her to fill in the position she would vacate, because soon enough she's going to be old enough. Maybe
To run for president?
yeah. Let's take the vice presidency first, and then maybe once or twice after that, go for president.
My well, politics really isn't my thing, really.
As
So
long as you've got the decent advisors around you, um, like
Right.
I think that's a contradiction in terms, but go on.
yeah, it's like I've dreamt
Yeah.
of running for president. Back when I was 34, 33, I was actually seriously considering it. And the thing is that okay, I don't know shit for foreign policy, but if I've got a decent set of advisors who can point me in the right direction, I'm better off than I am if I try to do it myself. Um, so the whole point is, where do you find these decent advisors and bring them on? They've got to be out there. They really have
You'd
to be.
think, but how many of them aren't corrupt already is my question.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You've got to do a lot of searching.
Yeah,
me,
and I mean, I have mentioned before that I would never want to be president just because there are so many aspects of the job where, I mean, either A, I don't want to do them, or two, I know I'd be really bad at them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I could handle being one of those advisors, I bet, but I would only ever want to be the power behind the throne, so to speak.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You
Hey,
know,
that's good too.
yeah.
this topic isn't exactly my forte. Plus, I haven't really said much of anything because of the whole politics thing. I mean, on science, I'd love to pontificate, but on politics, I've only got two things to say. I don't like Trump, and I really hate Trump.
Okay, now that you've said that, let's stay on politics for a while.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that I mean, everybody's all spewing this Trump's so great and he's making things so better, and what they're forgetting is that Trump is very clearly of the opinion that women should have no control over their reproductive rights.
I don't know.
Uh,
Going back to something, was it that you said, Kate? Maybe the last show, maybe many shows, that Trump doesn't seem to have an opinion of his own. He just goes where people point him.
Oh yeah, they've
Yes,
actually
definitely.
done like they've kept records on this, and he tends to try to pass the last thing said to him, regardless of what it was. Like he can't
Mhm.
recall. Oh, here's what the other person said, and it might be a good idea, might not be a good idea. No, in fact, he's gone out and advocated one thing. Then someone says, no, no, I like this instead, and he goes, oh, I'll tout that then, and then he gets it again, and it's like he says a third thing just because it was the last thing said to him. It's like he has no ideas of his own.
Right, but right now his current supporters are
Misogynistic.
spouting off pro-life, and I understand that they don't like the abortion issue, but
Nobody has to like it, but it's a medically
it's
important procedure in
it's
case something goes wrong.
it
You,
is a woman's right to say
Mhm.
yes or no. Yes, I want the kid. No, I don't want the kid. And nobody but her, and I understand if she's underage, she should have some sort of parental advice. But that doesn't mean the parents should get to say, yes, she has to keep the baby. Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, what people are forgetting for these pro life people is that babies that women are forced to have generally tend to end up in abusive homes.
yep.
They are resented, they are hated,
Uh huh.
and the mother takes it all out on that poor innocent little child. And what if that child is a factor of rape?
Mm,
Uh,
okay.
Yeah, constant symbol of look at what happened to me.
right,
Yeah.
which is devastating for the woman. And then, of course, that devastation turns into anger, it turns into frustration, it turns into pure hatred and malice most often. Not always. Sometimes maybe the woman's like, okay, the child's an innocent and she might be able to see past that, but 9 times out of 10, no.
And then here's the thing: you
And
want to call yourself pro-life? Great. Push for Medicare for all. Push for
Yeah.
the goddamn food stamps. Push for a decent fixed wage, for seniors,
Yeah.
for people
Well,
on
but
disability.
Well, you know
Push
that
for-
when they say pro-life, they don't literally mean pro-living people.
Oh,
They-
right.
I mean, as far as they're concerned, life begins at conception and ends at birth.
Absolutely. Yep, there you go. It's,
Yeah.
what is
Well,
it
I
now?
would say
Pre-born,
life
you're
doesn't-
great. Preschool, you're fucked.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. And
much.
it's insane the way, I mean, as far as they're concerned, when you consider how many of them are religious and how many hang-ups they have about sex.
Oh,
It's
yes.
clearly their objection to abortion clearly has nothing to do with the resulting offspring. No.
Right.
It's all about how you fuck, who you fuck, why you fuck, and whether or not you have to take the consequences of it straight on the snout. I mean,
And whether or not you're married.
years ago, and I know this is going to seem like a tangent, but it's not. I promise you, it's coming back. Years ago, I asked a vegan, would you eat meat if it was raised in a vat and never had self-awareness? And they said yes. And I was surprised by that. I kind of figured they'd be a lot more draconian about whether or not you consume flesh. But apparently for them, it really is about the cruelty, right? That they don't like that animals feel pain and are caused pain and all this and are raised in horrible conditions. Now, to bring this full circle, I want to ask a pro-lifer, what if we had, like in one of my favorite sci-fi
Test tube babies.
it's called a uterine replicator, is what they call it, but basically an artificial womb. If you could gestate a fetus outside of the body, would you be okay with that? Or is it in your world important that the woman carry the fetus to term? And I want to know what they would say. I have suspect a very large number of them would say, essentially, even if they don't say it in so many words, that pregnancy is a punishment for having sex
Oh, absolutely.
outside of
Absolutely.
marriage, unprotected, et cetera, et cetera.
Bullshit.
That they would not be okay with having an artificial gestation.
Well, here I
Yeah.
think you've said this before, Kate, and it's really fun. Why do these people hate you and to some extent me? Because we are the least likely person in the world to have an abortion.
Well, because again, it's all about control. It's all about how hung up on sex humanity can be. And so for them, they're like, well, it's not just enough that you have to not have an abortion. You also aren't allowed to have sex unless it's for procreation.
Yeah,
They're always
well,
talking about like how anti-masturbation they are too. It's the same thing,
Gender
just different
norms.
flavor. Where they always say, "Oh, the clitoris is the devil's doorbell," and et cetera. So you can't shake hands with God when you're masturbating and all that stuff.
oh, Lord, yeah.
And it's just like, they care more and more about like having sexual urges is not voluntary. Everyone gets horny, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And that is the perfect way to control people, by making them feel guilty about something involuntary. And so
Right.
being able to control people through sex is what they're all about.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
that to
interesting.
Really bullshit.
That's interesting
course-
what Beach said here. They
Yeah,
are not even
that they're
okay
not
with
a-
stem cell research, even if it would save their own life. Now, here is
Yep.
one place where I will grant kudos to the late Billy Graham. That stem cell treatment would have been effective to some extent on him, and he said, "No thanks. It's against my principles. I won't have it." Because now he's saying, "I won't have it, not you." Well, I mean, in other areas, most other areas, Graham was a piece of shit. And his kids even worse. But
did he ever actually say it's okay for other people, just not me?
I cannot answer you with absolute certainty on that one. I think he may have, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that what they're like, oh, well, stem cell research uses placental cells
Yeah, and
from the stem of the umbilical cord, and I believe I could be wrong on where, but
I think
that
there are several sources.
right, and everybody makes it sound like the baby has to die in order to use those, and it doesn't.
Well, I
You
believe
know,
one of the sources is aborted tissue,
some of it,
but that's
yes,
only one of the
but
sources.
that's only one. There are
We
we
can phase that out if
harvest
they don't like it.
right. We harvest cells from living tissue all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there's no reason why we can't harvest stem cells from a living source.
It's
And
like
use
complaining, oh, I got this blood draw, therefore I'm killing off all
yelling,
those
"Stop."
cells, therefore blood draws should be illegal.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's a
If you're not going to
lot
complain about a blood draw, then don't complain about fucking stem cells.
Well, but see,
Right.
the problem is these people aren't equipped to make those distinctions.
Right.
All they hear is the scary buzzword, and they flip out without doing the research. It's like reacting to the headline without reading the article.
And
Now, of course, there's also the question of, isn't there also adult stem cells?
Yes.
Oh, stem cells in adults. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, to some extent.
So,
much
if they're
lesser
having so
extent
many
than
hang-ups
in,
about stem cells in babies, just use adult stem cells. There, problem solved.
Not necessarily. There are many fewer of those than there are
Right.
the
Less
fetal
usable.
stem
Find a way to
cells.
cultivate them.
Well, but that's
It's-
they
yeah,
don't
okay.
want to even do the research on it.
And here is where education plays into the whole thing.
Yep.
You're talking about you can't make the distinction. They're not equipped to make the distinction. Education would not solve the problem completely, but it would help. And this is why Republicans hate education so much.
Yep.
Heck, I was basically raised in the Bible Belt, and I'm able to come to this distinction. How the hell does that happen?
I'm a very, very liberal person.
Yeah, thank you, Mom NATO.
Many people have said, thank you, Mom NATO, for raising an incredible son.
Yeah.
I won't go that far, but
He's mine.
I guess
he's
that's
my,
something. I guess that's something you can say for him, right?
Yeah, he's my Anna devil.
Oh my.
He's my Angie devil.
Yeah, Beach. Most of the
Hey.
stem cells come from the umbilicus. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he's my angel and my devil.
I'm sorry for being your devil.
Yeah. It's okay. Sometimes I need a devil.
I'm all right with deviled
Wait.
eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Ew, gross.
What?
Deviled eggs are good.
They're yummy and tasty.
I hate deviled eggs. I hate eggs in general, unless they're scrambled.
Scrambled eggs are okay. Sunny side up with the yolk still runny is okay. It's when the yolk starts to harden up that it starts to taste nasty.
Oh, that's the
I
way
like
my ex
it
liked
when-
them. She would
Oh,
request
it's
that
so
I
gross. The only
Oh,
word I've got
no.
for it is acrid. I can't. There's
I
something about
like the soft yolk. Thank
a
you.
hardened yolk, a fully cooked yolk that's just
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, she would
Yeah,
ask
I
me to
agree.
set the yolks. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a soft set on my yolks where it's just soft enough to dip the toast and just yum.
I know what I,
I love
haven't
my
had
sunny
in a
side
hell
egg.
of a long
Oh,
time,
and-
but of course everybody tells you that their evil is a soft-boiled egg.
I made some the other day.
Oh my. Do you have the
Yeah.
egg cup?
No,
Oh, okay. You just
I
what
peeled.
do you do? Put it into a like a custard cup or something, or?
I put rice into a regular coffee cup,
Okay.
and then I put the egg in the cup with the rice supporting it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I
Now, of
remember
course,
the egg
Kate.
cups. I don't know if you can still get those.
Well, and
Can
you
you?
could cook the rice so that when you dip the yolk and it oozes over the eggs, or oozes out of the egg, it oozes over the rice, and then you have a little extra food to eat later.
Oh, look at
Hey,
this.
Kate, doesn't your shirt read "There ain't no such thing as a free lunch"?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
covered
you
that
know it.
earlier
I
when you were
didn't.
here.
I'm amazed. You can actually still buy egg cups.
Hmm.
Because
It doesn't shock me. I'm pretty sure they have them at the hardware store here.
I thought everybody thought that like 1 minute eggs were evil, and they would kill you. Because this is one
Maybe
of the
we're not talking about the same kind of egg cups. But, it's funny, you wouldn't think it, but the hardware store near me has more kitchen supplies than the supermarket.
I've seen it
Oh
happen.
my.
Yes, I've seen that
Yeah.
happen.
Very odd.
Um,
But by egg cup, you just mean that little sort of like egg caddy that sits there and with the egg in it, yes?
yes, yes.
Then why would people think that's evil?
Because of the egg that you put in it. That
Why is that
I've heard
evil?
all about the soft-boiled eggs are evil because they are full of salmonella bacteria and they will kill you
Oh,
and all this other
okay.
bullshit. Just the same sort of thing is okay. I'll make the admission right here. I've got an unboxing video coming up. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be making it. I'm buying a deep fryer because I'm going to be making pre-Lenten
Yep.
food, and I can use the deep fryer for other things. There's something called punchki, which are sort of like pre-Lenten donuts that are deep fried and all this other happy good stuff.
This
Yes.
And
this is what you're talking about.
oh, let me look and see. Yeah, that's the egg cup I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the
Yep.
they're all with fried food, horrible fried food death, and all this other stuff. And it's like, look, I'm Eastern European. I've got cholesterol in my veins, not blood. And besides that, it's not if you're eating deep fried food 3 meals a day every day. What the fuck?
Oh my god, those are cute!
I love
Little
it.
sumo wrestler egg
Ah,
cups.
jeez, I love every minute of it. Oh my
But they don't have the
word.
proper flap in the back.
There you go. But as
You
often
know,
as often as I will prepare and eat the high fat foods, I may
hmm
have chicken paprikash,
hmm
maybe half a dozen times a year.
hmm
That's the stuff where you have a pound, 2 pounds of sour cream to a chicken and all this other good stuff. They're saying, "Oh, death, it will kill you." No, it won't. I mean, it's not that I'm eating it every day. And the other stuff that's going on, like with the fried food and all this other stuff, the sugar, the sweet stuff. No, as long as you keep it reasonable, you're okay. I mean, I use
One
lard in my pie crusts, and they'll look at me with,
hmm
"Oh God, you'll die!" And it's like, no, really, I won't. Um,
Yeah.
well, I
you
mean, I'm
were
reminded
hoping,
of
right?
like an old Dennis Leary routine where he's talking about like, oh, that'll take years off your life. He's like, yeah, but those are the years at the end. Those are the adult diaper kidney dialysis years. We don't want those years. You can have them.
You got it perfect. And I mean, least of all do I want the kidney dialysis years. Okay, I'm looking at it
Yeah.
anyway, but it's like Jesus Christ.
Well,
Um,
Okay,
it's
there are
like,
some really, really freaky looking egg cups out there.
uh-huh.
For example,
Oh my goodness. Duck feet. Duck
that's
feet.
ever so mildly terrifying right
That's
there.
beautiful.
Well, I like the sumo wrestler ones, but they gave me that would give me horrible nightmares because of seeing an actual sumo wrestler.
Okay,
And
well, try this one.
oh my god.
There's one for the highlight reel.
I mean, there are some wacky, creepy, friggin' egg cup holder thingies
Well,
out there.
nobody ever talks about on the sumo wrestlers is when you're actually seeing them fight, that butt flap that they have only covers the bare necessities. The rest of their
Yeah.
ass cheeks are bare.
Oh, I like
Oh, that
this.
one's cute.
The Egg
That
of
one's
Thrones or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Egg of
Yep.
Thrones. Yep.
No, there's some interesting ones out there. There's one I just found here that's, I don't know if it's creepy or cool, but it's
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's interesting. The whole
It's a
branches
nest.
with the little birdie.
It's a nest.
hmm and we've got kind of a sort of a, I'm gonna call it sci-fi, maybe a little Art Deco going on, something like that.
All
With this one.
right, now we're talking.
That's from like not War of the Worlds, Lost in Space.
Okay. I don't know, for some reason my first
It's the ship legs.
but still, it's, there's a lot of interesting egg cups there.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh man, Lost in Space. That was an interesting show. Yeah, you got to watch Angela Cartwright go through puberty.
I tried watching that, and it might actually be a decent show. And I don't remember if I was watching it on a streaming service or if I just found episodes online somewhere, but the sound quality was so bad that it was unwatchable. Like I wanted to watch the show. I wanted to like it, but I could barely understand what was being said.
Okay, I
Netflix
remember
is
much
doing a
better
remake
sound
of it.
quality when I was first seeing it, so I wonder if it's the recording.
Yeah.
Netflix is doing a has
they're on
started
season-
a
They're in season 2 of the remake already.
remake. Yeah.
And my understanding, I may be wrong on this, but they may have been wanting a reasonable plot when they first started that show, but then it pretty much went to hell, especially in the second season.
Well, I mean, I get the impression that a lot of sci-fi was treated as just goofy, silly, don't take it seriously stuff until Star Wars, actually. Like,
Yep.
I was watching a documentary about it, and they were saying, like, for the longest time, sci-fi had to be low budget with cardboard sets and stuff because nobody thought there was a market for it. And when Star Wars came out, and it literally started the idea of the blockbuster. I mean, actually, I think it did. There was something else, but it was, really one of the first blockbusters anyway. They were like, wow, sci-fi can do real business. And that's when they started taking it at least a little seriously. And so the fact that something like Lost in Space was not taken seriously doesn't shock me.
Right. Well, and then of course you've got at that time there was also the Orson Welles broadcast of War of the Worlds over the radio.
Well, that was quite a
I
bit
can't
earlier.
Scared
Yeah.
and freaked people out.
I can't believe they took it seriously. I've heard it, and I'm like, how could anyone take this
I
seriously?
mean, you had the announcement at the beginning of the broadcast. This is fiction, guys. But I guess a lot
Right.
of
But I
people
mean,
didn't
even
hear
if
it.
that hadn't been there, even if they tried to present it as a practical joke, there
Right.
was no way to take it seriously. It was not.
Right.
It didn't come off like something that was actually happening at the moment.
Mm-hmm. But
And then you
people
had
did.
Then you had the original series,
Gullible people.
which I know you're not a big fan of Star Trek, Kate, but they did kind of try in some ways to be a little better than the other stuff that was out there. The problems were two. Number one, they were all morality plays. And then there was Gene Roddenberry with his fist in the costume department. I mean, those ladies were scantily clad because of Roddenberry.
Well, okay, I'll take your word for that one. But yeah, I one of the reasons I don't like Star Trek as much as I could, because I do like it, is just because it has a stick so far up its ass that it can't blink without getting splinters. And it's like it'd be nice if they could take the morality plays and at least make them a little intelligent. because
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many of them are like, oh, I've been here and I've done this so many times before that it's not new to say, oh, do we have the right to interfere in this way or whatever.
Right.
It's
yeah,
like, yeah, this is the big print, easy reader version of a morality play. You sometimes get more in depth, deep, well thought out intellectual morality plays from kids' cartoon shows. You
yeah.
could be doing better.
I
You
mean,
know, and,
how many times did
um,
they do the whole Cold War thing? Um,
Oh
I know that
God.
the Yangs and the Combs, and there was another one with the Klingons trying to influence the inhabitants of a given planet, and over and over
Well,
and over.
I mean,
You finally got tired of it. It was like every 3 shows.
but I mean, not just the original series though. They did this at least up until Voyager, if not
yeah.
DS9,
Hmm.
and it just got so freaking old.
Yeah.
I like the idea. Like I could design my own Star Trek show and say, okay, start with Star Trek. Now let's remove this, add that, remove this, and I think part of it. One of the things I would do is take the Prime Directive and say that it's malleable when it comes to the safety of our crew members. Because so many of the episodes, especially the morality plays, are like, well, there's a very simple solution here, but the Prime Directive says no.
Uh-huh,
Like
uh-huh,
Right.
uh-huh.
we could totally get our crewmates out of that situation by transporting them away from the jail in which they've been kept. But we have this moral standard that makes absolutely no sense and doesn't care about our safety. And therefore now we have the plot of an episode. Like there's that episode where they're on some planet where every crime, no matter what it is punishable by death. And Wesley, playing a sport with a bunch of kids, accidentally falls through a greenhouse or something. And so they're going to put Wesley to death.
Yeah, I
And
remember that one.
there's
Hmm.
no way that they're like, well, we can't beam him out of there because we can't violate their culture. It's like, dude, just fucking beam the kid out.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I would at least redesign the Prime Directive to say that safety is far more important than potentially pissing off a few aliens by not conforming to their culture. And
Hmm.
honestly, do you necessarily expect people to conform to your culture if they're foreigners who are here? You know,
If you're
like
American,
like,
you
like
do.
oh, I don't. That with terminal intensity. I might say to someone, "Whoa, that's a little too far. We don't kind of do that here." But you do you, pal. Whatever's up to you. If you can get people to accept it, go with it. But it's not my thing. Uh, I mean, I'm willing to bet that there's aliens out there where they're like, "Oh, you decided to not let us kill your crewmate who didn't actually know our laws were so severe and might have been more careful. We can give you a little bit of leniency just because you didn't know." Yeah, it never comes up. The aliens never have leniency. They defend everything as hard as they possibly can, even against strangers who meant no harm.
The aliens must
Right.
come from Pittsburgh.
Mm.
Oh,
It's just such
I've
a
been in the bus, for example, when you've got somebody in a very loud voice. Oh, listen to this person who can't even speak English. It's somebody who's been here from Moldavia for like a week and a half. Um,
hmm
Now,
well,
see, I don't care if somebody's talking to a friend in a foreign language, but when they address something like uh, they're talking to a cashier, it's nice if they would be able to understand what the person is saying.
as long as the person knows how to say it.
I mean,
Right,
technically, the United States doesn't have an official language.
right.
I mean, it's
We're
kind of de facto English, but then if you look at the breakdown, there's a lot of people in this country who speak Spanish.
Yes.
right. We're
Um, and,
polyglottal.
and but at the same time, I mean, I admit it feels to me like you ought to be able to speak English if you're going to be like a permanent resident here. You
Yes,
know, you
you
don't
should have
Well,
have
yeah,
to
the.
speak,
okay.
but you should have the ability. Like, let's put it this way. I realize this might make me kind of unpopular with some people. I don't really like the idea of bilingual ATMs. I like
Okay.
the idea of an ATM where, you don't have the English Spanish option. And I
Right.
realize that that's kind of obnoxious, forcing people to learn English just to be able to get along in the country. But at the same time, we
Well,
kind of are a majority English language country, and it'd be nice if you could at least interact with the rest of the folks.
well,
Well,
I don't know. How
most.
about an ATM in English and Klingon? No.
No.
Okay.
Klingon is a pain in the ass to learn. We've been over this before.
I know,
Well,
yeah. I lived in a neighborhood where there were almost as many Russian speakers as there were English speakers. And you had the signs and the store windows and all this other stuff in Russian as well as in English. But for some reason, the Russian immigrants liked Homestead, Pennsylvania. And there were many, many, much of them, and I think there still are. Oh, as well as the Vietnamese immigrants. They also like Homestead. So the neighborhood was actually trilingual. And I kind of got used to it. I wanted to really get back into it and start learning Russian again because I wanted to know what the people behind me in line were saying about me.
I remember exactly 3 words in Russian at this point. Because I did take it briefly, and all I remember now is "До свидания," "Здравствуйте," and "Krasny."
I don't remember what krasny means.
Red.
Ah.
Yes.
Uh,
That is everything I remember in Russian.
До свидания is
Bye-bye.
goodbye.
Yes. Здравствуйте is hello, basically, or greeting.
Yeah.
And Krasny is red. That's everything I know.
I can say.
Oh, no,
yes,
wait, I
I
take
speak
that back.
Russian.
Comrade. I know comrade.
Yeah,
Da,
who can
yeah,
forget
da.
that one?
Да, я говорю по-русски.
Oh
That's
my!
all I remember.
Back at Homestead, my landlord was fluent
fine,
in
Scott.
Russian, and I was picking some of it up from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's try this again. Yaktem kolovas, as in, how the hell are you? That was always. Well, he would call me Boris, and my girlfriend at the she was Natasha, because it's for you I am to sound like this and this talk like this all the time. And it's Boris for you, yes, like that. And
Well, it's kind of fun. It reminds me of what we were doing before the show started.
Yes!
And even before Mom made us show, I was like, okay, we do the stream for you, and we make it good, and it will be fine. It will be entertaining, and you will enjoy it. And I will be charming, is what I will be, because that is the point of being on the camera, the camera.
Camara,
Yeah.
yes. Let me
Yeah.
entertain you, and
Yeah.
we'll have a real red time, yes, sir.
It's a going
will have-
full-on Borat, you know?
Oh,
We will
jeez,
have
man.
a real good time.
Oh man, have you?
We're two wild and crazy guys,
It's
you know,
been-
from the Saturday Night Live.
Been a hell of a
With the
long. I
two
remember that
Russians.
one. I'm trying to remember his full name. I remember the first name was Yortuk. Was the last name Yaroselsky? After the
I don't.
and I'm trying to remember his brother's name.
I do not remember.
Or was his brother Yortuk? I forget. But yeah,
I-
that whole thing. Oh man, that was
Well,
in
I'm
the
ahead off.
days. That was in the days of cocaine and crazy.
Hey, Diane, I'm gonna head off.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
be
got-
good, sweetness.
Okay, see ya.
You know, I got to admit, it always seemed to me that there had to have been a better delivery system for cocaine than snorting it.
Feed the beastie. Thank
I mean,
you.
as I understand, number one, that just rips the hell out of your sinuses.
Yes, it
Number
does.
two, the few times that I've accidentally snorted something that shouldn't be up my snout,
Uh-huh.
it hurt like a motherfucker, and I didn't
Yes.
enjoy it. So,
Okay,
I
sit.
mean, it seems to me that there had to have been a
Shut up,
better
sit.
way to get your coke than snorting it. Had to be.
Well, it could be because I was, like the heaviest smoker
Good
on the
boy.
block for
Okay.
the longest time. But the single time that I did smoke crack, that did not tear the shit out of my lungs. So that might have been a way to do it. Yeah, my assessment was, what's the point? And everybody's, well,
Mm.
you're doing it wrong. And said, okay, that's a good thing.
Well, I am getting better at this.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That's my
that's the CBD oil, right?
no, actually, this is mostly THC.
Ah, okay, okay.
Ow, damn it.
But I mean, it I don't know. For a very long time, I was not able to do this without coughing my lungs out.
Yeah, the one time I tried vaping, as heavy a smoker as I was, I coughed like hell.
Well, I couldn't tell you about regular vapes. I can only tell you about the marijuana vapes, and these are hard to take. But as I understand it, coughing when you do weed is pretty standard anyway.
I
That like
could,
it's far more harsh than a regular cigarette, as I understand it.
I could tell you
So,
stories.
so the fact that I can even do this now is testament to how much I've done, I guess.
Now,
Mm.
for example, I used to occasionally do a two hit 4-footer. The bong is 4 feet long, and you used to load up the bowl, okay, do the draw, and then it would only be half full. And then all the air out of your lungs, fill the bowl up again, do the draw again. Now you've got a bong full of smoke, and you pull this whole thing into your lungs. And occasionally, I would begin coughing. And whatever it was, I don't know exactly how it worked, I would get so high I could not see.
Mm.
Literally could not, the eyes open, and it's that sparkle pattern that you have when your eyes are closed. So I would stumble across the hall into my own dorm room, fall into the bed, and there's my roommate watching McCloud on the television, and the weird ass hallucinations I would get from that. It was like, oh fuck
Well, you
this.
know, it's funny because I used to be a lot more sensitive to weed than I am now. Like really sensitive. Like I was hanging out in LA with a bunch of other YouTubers and we got a bunch of gummies, right? And I had a tiny little sliver, like about that big, right? And it knocked me on my ass. And when you talk about not being able to see, I'm not sure if it was more than an hour or two, but for a very long time, I remember pure blackness. I knew what was going on around. I found every last scrap of everything everyone ever said funny too.
Oh
But
yeah, okay.
for a very long time, seriously, I don't remember having any vision whatsoever. And I don't know if my eyes were closed or not, but I did not see.
Well, I could
Now
feel my
I've
eyes
developed
open.
such now I've developed such a tolerance that honestly I should probably wait a week before doing any more or I won't even feel it.
That's the interesting thing. I don't know if I built up a tolerance at all, but if I did, it wasn't much of one.
Hmm. Okay, I'll be right back. I have a very hungry cat to feed.
Somebody is, yes, food.
She's she's been bugging me for an hour, so I'll be right back.
Uh-huh. Kind of reminds me of Simon's cat. If anybody knows the what's the web comic, not web comic, YouTube thing going on,
Mm.
and always at the end of the adventure, the cat is there with, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yep.
boys, I don't know, kids. Yeah, you see how much this conversation resembles "I am not a Democrat," right? We always do this. Oh, I don't care. It's
Yeah,
great. As long as you
there's
guys
only
like it, I don't
so
mind.
much that we can talk about before we get frustrated, pissed off, annoyed, and we don't need to do that all day.
Absolutely. Turbo C++.
I'm
Oh my.
I just I'm so sick of Trump and MAGA and how wonderful he is. I hear it from my mom all the time because she is such a Trump supporter, and it's like, oh my god. Yeah.
Were those two and my sister alive and talking to me, I know that I would just be getting an unending stream of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
So.
gotten to a point now where I realize this might be mildly hypocritical because I hate it when other people do it to me. But every time people start asserting shit, I start asking questions. You know, because like a lot of times when theists, for example, will start asking you a bunch of questions, it's a trap. You know, it's an attempt to control the conversation so they're not the one in the hot seat. And it's an attempt to make you look silly because you have to answer misleading or leading questions, or
Right.
they'll insist on yes, no,
Yeah,
when
right.
a more nuanced answer you have to give and all that stuff. And so whenever I get someone who's like a Trump supporter and they'll say, oh, he's so wonderful because X, Y, and Z, I'll start asking them questions. Like, really? He's great on Z. What's so great about him when on the topic of Z? And a lot of times they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
They've seen the bullet points and didn't bother to understand them.
Yeah,
And it catches them out a lot. Like a lot of people have fled arguments when they realize how out of their depth they are. And I don't even have to be not out of my depth. I don't even have to be in my depth. I just have to know enough to ask them questions they can't answer.
yeah, and of course it doesn't change their vote, which is the whole terrible thing. But
Yeah. But it's better than trying to actually get into it with them. It's better than actually trying to give them real reasons why they're wrong, because they're not going to listen to your reasons why to the reasons why
right,
they're wrong. They're
absolutely.
not going to bother, so I might as well have a little fun with them and put them in an uncomfortable position, because then maybe they'll flee.
And then the other thing there is the unfortunate half of that is I run into this with the hyper Christians, especially when you do not engage them or when you disengage. They do the pigeon thing where they argue the way a pigeon does. You knock all the pieces over, crap on the board, and strut around saying I won.
Well, okay, have you gotten around to watching the alt-right playbook yet?
Not yet. No, I got to.
Oh,
I know I got to.
Because I mean, it would be so helpful in this conversation.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that is mentioned that the right wing loves to do is to come out with the short, quippy phrase, like the catchphrase, the slogan, all that stuff. And because they know that the left wing loves to give explanations for why they're wrong, but all people will remember is the quippy catchphrase and not the intellectual explanation for why it's wrong. And so, it's just like, a lot of the advice given in the alt-right playbook was don't engage them this way.
Yeah, I forget why I wasn't.
Is winning. I have started trying to come up with my own quippy slogans to throw back at them.
And of course,
because that way I'm hitting them in their own style, but still showing how idiotic they're being.
Now, what's interesting about that is I've engaged someone like that who was doing the one especially that I do remember is, unless you are touched by the Spirit, you cannot understand. Okay, and then there's more arguing going back and forth. And then this person asks me, well, how did the Big Bang originate? And I answered, if you are not touched by science, you will never understand. And he said, oh, you didn't answer the question. We're done. So you see, he can do what I cannot. He allows himself what he will not allow me. And many of them are like that.
Well, I was in an argument with a Muslim on Facebook today.
Oh boy!
Yeah, I know. Oh, boy. And at one point, like he was trying to explain to me how the Quran is the perfect book that got everything right, and he was like, and what he said was, "Have you read the part of the Quran with the Egyptian pharaoh or something?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not playing your little games here. If you have a point to make it. And he actually did. And he said,
Whoa.
well, I know, I'm surprised. And he said, well, how could the Quran possibly have known that the Pharaoh's body would be preserved? And I'm like, bitch, they made mummies for how long?
Yeah.
And then he goes, read the Quran, Allah loves you, bye-bye.
I'm amazed. Okay.
Like, that's how you get the better of someone is number one, if they start asking you questions, don't answer. Ask, like, say to them, if you have a point, make it. Because if you start answering their questions, you're doing it all on
dead.
their terms.
Yeah.
And you'll be led down so many different rabbit holes, and they'll keep moving the goalposts, et cetera, et cetera. So just pin them to the wall and say, make your point. And
Right.
their points are usually so friggin' idiotic that you can dismantle them right away, where you couldn't if they were coming at you piece by piece as yes, no questions.
Or the other
Right.
one that they'll do is that famous Gish Gallop. Well, they will pile on so many stupid questions, so many meaningless questions, that you cannot possibly address them in the time allowed, let alone actually answer them.
Well, but that's usually in a formal debate, though. This is different.
Well, a lot of the discussions I've been in have kind of turned into debates, and well, that's kind of my style, which is my fault. I was a debater years ago, and yeah, it's whatever
Well, I
they
mean,
have to do, they are right. You know, that's the way it ends up.
But that's another thing that they discuss again in the alt-right playbook is that to the other side, to the right wing, it's not a debate. It's like a pit fight. You know, it's a gladiatorial combat thing, and the winner is decided by who came off as the most confident, the most popular. You know, who got the crowd
Most
roaring.
intelligent.
So
Yeah.
if no, intelligence has nothing to do with it. Not a thing to do with it. No, it's all about who bested the other person. You know, it's a popularity contest to them. So if you're treating it like a formal debate, and if you think that you're dealing with logical, rational people who can be swayed by good arguments, you've already lost.
Yeah.
You have to win their emotions to convince anyone on the right wing of any goddamn thing at all.
Let me grab some coffee. Keep it up. I can hear you. Hopefully, I'm not echoing into everything. Oh my God, I'm old.
No, for a moment. Although, I'll be honest, I have to go get some food myself. It's 6 p.m. and I haven't had dinner yet. So I'm not sure how much longer I will be around on this particular chat. Plus, I need groceries, so I have to go out.
Oh no, the dreaded out.
I mean, well, oh gosh, you know, I gotta tell you, it's not going out that I don't like. It's the fact that I have to do so much work to not look like an electrocuted bog troll. You know,
Wow. You're fine.
No. Have you seen the before-after picture?
No.
Okay, because there's what I look like immediately after a shower and before I've done any prep. And then there's how I look after I've actually, like, you know, tended to my head for the hell.
Okay. I have
my mouth shut because I am
naturally
biased.
curly hair. So when I come out of the shower after drying off my hair, I look like a fucking puff ball.
Yeah, well,
Before I start brushing.
Well, the point being that if I decide to go out to the supermarket looking like this, I would never want to show my face outside ever again. When I say electrocuted bog troll, I mean, okay, this looks like an explosion in a Velcro factory. And so, yeah, sometimes I refuse to go out just because of how much work it is, how much time I have to take to make myself look, you know, remotely presentable, to not look like a willow tree.
You know, what's interesting though is that whole hairstyle going on in the before reminds me vaguely of Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, but no, I will not, repeat, will not go out if I look like that. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I may be out of milk, but I'd rather eat dry cereal than go out.
Oh,
Oh my.
no, I've got the hiccups.
Oh
Oh.
yeah. Speaking of, that's one thing I discovered earlier today that could save me if I don't want to go out or can't go out. I discovered one of those pasta meals and half a jar of mayonnaise, so I could actually have a meal if I really wanted one.
I'm sorry, are you saying putting mayonnaise on pasta?
Yeah, what do they call it? Pasta delight or pasta salad or some bullshit like this.
Pasta delight.
Yeah, and you
It
make
sounds
this
utterly nasty.
you make the sauce with a cup of mayonnaise and the contents of the seasoning
Packet.
packet that they have in there. It's not
That's
that bad, really.
disgusting.
I mean, it's
Well, I mean,
it's barely
yeah,
enough to be noticeable on the. It's not like you're throwing a
On the
full
amount
jar
of
of
pasta.
mayonnaise.
Yeah.
mayonnaise all by itself is disgusting just to begin with. But putting it on pasta, no, no, no,
Well,
no.
it's a
No,
cold. Normally, it's a cold salad.
I don't even care. It doesn't belong on pasta. Only white glop you should ever put on pasta is Alfredo.
Mm.
Oh man, I haven't made that shit in a while.
I
Oh,
wonder
well,
if you
Giving me
could
ideas.
there's
mix
this
the
place
herbs
up
with
at this
Alfredo and
restaurant
get the
in San Diego because San Diego doesn't have a Chinatown. It has a little Italy. And there's a restaurant here called Mimos that does a blackened chicken fettuccine Alfredo that is to die for and
Oh.
have to die from.
Sounds
But
tasty.
still,
Mhm.
oh, it is so
Mhm.
fucking good.
Yeah, there's the interesting thing about the mayo. Um, I don't like it if it's obvious. I will never ever
Oh yes,
eat
true.
a
Yeah, I
spoonful of this
understand that
stuff.
feeling.
I mean, I know people who will eat a spoonful of mayonnaise, and no, I cannot do that. There's no
Oh.
way I can.
Mhm.
But the stuff is not all that bad if it's there in moderation or barely there or anything like that. I don't know, the ideal way to clothe a lovely lady, something like that.
Hmm.
My.
Well, that's another problem with going out to the supermarket. I need to buy food, and all they have is ingredients.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Uh, I'll
Yeah.
never get tired of that joke.
I love it though. It's got that point to it.
Mhm.
It's stuff
Yeah.
that's edible eventually.
Hot Pockets.
I completely forgot. I keep meaning to try to make Kung Pao chicken, and I keep not looking up a recipe. I'm
Mm.
gonna do that now.
Yeah, that
And see
sounds
what
like
you need
something
for
I
it.
might want to do someday. I want to explore the
Peanut butter chicken.
various. Ooh, yum! Sounds tasty. I want to explore the various Oriental cuisines, and yeah, I know everybody's gonna jump on me. Shut the hell up.
I don't know. Actually, I think you're allowed to say Oriental cuisine, just not Oriental people.
Well, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd love to try Japanese, especially making my own if I could manage it.
Mm.
I'd love to try Thai. I'd love to try Vietnamese. Um,
Well,
Nice sushi.
oh, I love
and
sushi. I love.
no big deal. It's easy to make.
Well,
Yeah.
I like the sashimi, and I do like the sushi along with it. Yeah. Yes, I know the difference.
I don't like
Jeepers.
sashimi that much.
Oh, I'm not sure I want to make Kung Pao chicken. That shit is so expensive. Just looking at the ingredients, some of the stuff they say is in it, so fucking expensive.
Okay, I
Yeah,
has to
no,
look on
I
this.
don't like raw fish,
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
actually
which is
with you.
sashimi.
I will cheerfully eat a California roll because crab legs are so friggin' tasty, but other than that, no.
Well, they've got yum yum rolls. I don't know, or crunchy rolls. Um, there's nothing raw in them, and they're really good. Um,
I
it's avocado, rice, sometimes pickled something or other. and either crab, tuna, shrimp, with a spicy sauce across the top.
Okay, let's see
No,
how
I'm
let's see how authentic this is. What we have here.
I mean,
Hmm?
I'm just looking at all these different Asian recipes, and I'm realizing that Chinese food is so freaking labor intensive compared
Yeah,
to Japanese food.
it is.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm gonna stick to Japanish because honestly, I like their food a lot, and it's easier to cook, and the ingredients aren't super friggin' expensive. So,
Okay, what do
Yep.
we have here? For the marinade, we have a tablespoon of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons Chinese rice wine or dry sherry, 1.5 teaspoons cornstarch, 1 pound boneless, skinless chicken breasts or thighs. Okay, now for the sauce, something. This is where it's going to start getting. Oh, don't do that.
well,
God bless it.
it's the hoisin sauce that you have to have.
Yeah,
And that shit is so pricey. It's at least $5 for this tiny little bottle of it.
we've got okay. 1 tablespoon Chinese black vinegar, um, t- teaspoon soy sauce, teaspoon hoisin, teaspoon sesame oil. There's another expensive one for you.
Mm-hmm.
2 teaspoons sugar, teaspoon cornstarch, half teaspoon ground Sichuan pepper, 2 tablespoons peanut or vegetable oil. There's another expensive one. 8 to 10 dried red chilies, 3 scallions, two
All right.
garlic cloves, teaspoon minced or fresh grated ginger, and a quarter cup unsalted dry roasted peanuts. Yeah, this is going to run a little bit more than I want to pay for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you'd probably be paying a lot more per pound to get takeout, it's probably still a better investment than trying to make it all on your own.
Yeah,
Internal
it
chat.
is.
A yum yum roll.
So,
The other thing I'd like to do, and the only reason I'm not doing it right now is I'm really trying to cut down on the calories, is go to the local Chinese buffet up the hill, um, and pay them $11 and sit there and eat until I'm sated. The problem with
mm,
that is that I'm trying to cut the damn calories, and I can put on 3 pounds just by one meal there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, all right.
yeah.
Internal chat. You can see a picture of yum yum roll.
Okay, where are we? Where are we going? How are we getting there? What are we doing once we're there? No, I'm not doing that right.
Okay,
Here we are.
sure. Let's see, spicy crab, crunchy
Mm-hmm.
crab. How odd. Also, I
Is
really
that
have
like
a
crunchy
difficult
frog?
time eating shrimp. I don't want to eat shrimp. It just there's
Well,
something creepy about shrimp.
you don't have to have the shrimp. They can change out the ingredients. It's just that's what
Still.
a yum yum roll looks like.
Mm,
Okay, yeah,
Um,
so I know this stuff. I've
mhm,
actually had it. I just didn't know what it was called.
those are
Um,
really good.
but that was a very long time ago. I haven't had
Hmm.
much by way of raw seafood. Um,
Hmm.
Again, it's the
Oh no,
well,
this
price.
is off the cook.
have you ever had the cream of some young guy?
No.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Oh,
I know, I
sorry.
know, I know.
It's a bad joke. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
cream of
Of some
some
young
young
guy.
guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now, we don't do that sort of cuisine here.
Well, I don't know. It was just sitting there all pink and naked. I had to point at it.
Yeah.
Well, that joke was right there. It's such an old joke. Anyway, I'll just.
Hmm. We
Oh,
just all glossed over it.
the one I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what goes in a mugu gai pan. I know it's chicken, but what do they do to it?
Well, that's just weird. You'd think a moo goo gai pan would be beef.
Yeah.
In
Hmm.
fact, it sounds like, let's see, moo, beef, goo, a small baby, guy, some man, and then pan. Obviously, I don't know where you get roast seder, but
Oh my!
Oh
Oh, this
my.
is interesting. From
Oh.
a site called Dinner at the Zoo. Okay, that's got to be. What do we have? I know you're there somewhere. Come on, guys. I know the ingredient list is. There we are. Okay, 1 pound boneless, skinless chicken breasts, thinly sliced. 1 large egg white. An egg white. 2 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon cornstarch. 1 tablespoon vegetable oil. 2 teaspoons minced garlic. 1 teaspoon minced ginger. 2 cups of sliced mushrooms.
Eat the kids first.
Cup of snow peas.
Oh my god.
What do you got
We
going?
gotta look at the picture she's got posted right
All
now.
right. I
Sure.
like it. I like it. Oh my word, somebody actually did that?
Well, you know what's funny though is that I was looking at the novelty license plate, the vanity license plate guidelines for California, and part of the form is what does this mean? Right? Like you have to explain it to them so that you're not apparently putting up something super obscene, I guess.
Oh,
You know,
my,
like
oh,
there's a certain
my.
amount of decency. So I'm wondering if that's part of the form for what was this? Virginia? Yeah, Virginia. Like if someone had to explain why they wanted eat the as their license plate, or if they didn't have any guidelines. You know?
Okay, then.
Why? I just wonder. It's a thing.
I'm familiar with the way some of that works. I know the guy who went into a somewhat lengthy court battle over the atheist license plate where the I was replaced
I'm
by
God.
the one. Say again?
The one where he put "I'm God" as his license plate.
Not that one. The license plate read atheist, but the I was a one. He used to be here in Pittsburgh. He moved to Florida recently, and yeah, he described what he had to go through to get that damn plate up one side and down the other because if I remember correctly, it might have gone to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. I'm not sure, but it might have. I have to look it up now.
It's strange to me that they would be that draconian about it.
This is
But then again,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the level to which religious people will go to not merely be who they are, but to force everyone else to at least conform to their standards, even if they don't pledge their allegiance. It's just crazy. It'd be like if I, as someone who prefers Star Wars to Star Trek, insisted, like, no, you're not allowed to have a Star Trek show unless there's lightsabers in it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, in fact, no sci-fi is allowed to exist without a lightsaber and the Force because I say so, because I'm a Star Wars fan. So fuck the rest of you. You know, that is what they're being like. And I'm willing to bet if I explained it to them in those terms, even without the vehemence, they probably wouldn't even see it, much less agree with it.
Yeah, this is out of Friendly Atheist. The guy's name was Jeff Prebeg. And all 3 of his requests were denied. The one he finally ended up getting was atheist, or atheist with the one instead of an I. He also had no God and N0G0D, denied, that sort of thing.
You know, last year I actually saw a guy whose license plate said Logic.
Oh my.
I wish I could have gotten a picture of it, but I was in a crosswalk at the time. I threw up the horns and he was like right on. But you know, I wish I'd gotten a picture of it.
Oh my, around here, yeah, you don't want to do that sort of thing. A lot of people don't like you for it. Well, like I said, Jeff finally got his. It just took a while because this article's from 2016, and I think he finally got the thing. I think he might have got the damn plate in 17 or something like that. And it had already been going on for a while when Hammett wrote about it. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah.
You know, you Gotta love it.
Vaginas.
I'm trying to find the one that I had, and I cannot find it. Maybe I have it on a sharing site instead of here. Someone had the license plate said Moya, so clearly they are a Farscape fan.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not even sure how it got started, but I got really into license plates for some reason. Like, have you seen my wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, like for those who haven't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, license plates. They're all from like movies and shit, but still.
I love the New York Ecto 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, are you looking forward to the third Ghostbusters movie? Because I kind of am.
Yes.
I haven't
I
thought
mean, like,
about it really.
I don't acknowledge this last one they made that was not.
I won't even watch it. It's just,
Um,
I could get into the reasons why. But the only thing is, I'm a little worried by the trailer for the new one, just because it didn't seem to have that same Ghostbusters feel to it.
Well, I don't know because, from what I've heard, the kid that they show in the preview,
There's at least two of them. Which one?
the one that finds the Ecto one,
Okay.
is somehow family, grandson, son. I'm thinking grandson of one of the original Ghostbusters. I think it's
yeah.
Pinkman.
Actually, I thought it was Egon, but
Or
okay.
Egon, yeah. I couldn't remember Egon's last name.
Well, but I'm actually pretty
Spengler.
okay with that.
Spengler, yeah.
Because I mean, the idea of passing it on to another generation makes so much more sense than just complete reboot. Like,
Right.
if they'd had a bunch of daughters of original Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
for the new one, I would have found it a lot easier to accept. But
Mhm.
even then, you know how I feel about tokenism.
Right.
Like the whole idea of, well, now we have to completely race and gender flip everybody.
That's
Just bugs
ridiculous.
the hell out of me. I mean, it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel right. It just feels forced. It feels like people are
Yep.
trying to cram it down your throat,
Right.
or apply it with a sledgehammer. And I'm like, there are ways to do this. Like I was saying not too long ago, there was something, I forget exactly what happened. It was like the world's first female black fill-in whatever. And
Right.
my reaction was, I look forward to the day when this isn't remarkable anymore.
Right.
Where it's like if all they said was someone has cracked the formula for this, that, or the other thing, and they put up a picture and it's like, oh, hey, black chick, as opposed to it being some big deal that, she has a vagina and a certain race. I'm like,
Yep.
it'd be great if that didn't matter
Yeah.
when you
Well,
talk
that's
about who did which discovery. But the fact
Right.
is that people are trying to make it matter so fucking hard and in our entertainment that I'm like, I feel like you're your own worst enemies right now because you're kind of pissing people off.
Mhm.
I mean, if it can happen naturally, that'd be one thing, but
What
Well,
gets
that's
under
like-
my skin, and I'm going to begin, I'm going to end up in a lot of trouble for this, but you end up with the first whatever 75 times.
Mhm.
The first
Well,
the first man to be on the moon, and then it's going to be the first woman to be on the moon, then it's going to be the first black woman to be on the moon, then it's going to be the first one-armed Vietnamese kid to be on the moon, and it won't end.
right, it's like the first blind left-handed dentist without tonsils on the moon. It's like, gee, guys, really?
well, that's like we're talking like gender changes.
Yeah.
In fan fiction, you see this a lot where they will change crucial aspects of a character's looks.
Yeah, but usually that's like a fetish thing when they do it in
Well,
fiction.
no, I'm
fan
talking like
fiction.
no, I'm not talking necessarily a gender change. I'm talking like Hermione in Harry Potter. Pure white girl with bushy hair, uh,
Mhm.
and buck teeth. Somebody
Um,
changes her to a young black girl with afro.
well, you know what's funny is at
That
one point I think oh, what was it? J.K. Rowling
mhm.
said at one point, oh yeah, Hermione was always intended to be black or something, or I left her race indeterminate so that you could picture her whatever. But in one point in one of the books, it literally
She
says
says,
her pale white face.
yeah,
And it's like,
that's yeah. And they another one was they made Harry Potter a young black kid, and it's like, but that's not the character. When you change those crucial aspects of a character, it's
yeah.
no longer the character.
Well, and that's why I think there's a lot of people out there who, when they talk about, not my Ariel, I wonder how
Mhm.
many of them would have the same reaction, if they even just changed the color of her hair.
Mhm.
Because for me, it's always not what the change is; it's that they changed anything.
Right.
When they changed the color of Superman's uniform, so it was a much more drab, dark, like
Mhm.
ugly color. I was pissed when they took away
Right.
the red panties. I was pissed,
Yes.
and
Because
if
it's no longer
I ever
Superman.
and if I was ever pissed off about Ariel being black, it's not she's black, it's she's not the Ariel that I grew up with. And that's what I
Right.
wanted, was more of the same. And that's
Mhm.
why I'm always saying, look, I got no problem if you want to create a very feminist superhero, as long as it's original instead of usurping a well-known property.
Right.
Like they're saying now, oh, James Bond is going to be a black woman, and I'm like,
Ah,
even if
It
there's a
just
whole
doesn't
thing where
work.
007 or Bond is just a code name and it's not the actual person, I'm like, yeah, but a lot of people, like, I'm not into James Bond very much. I've really, really tried, and I don't enjoy it. But I probably would have been pissed when it wasn't Sean Connery anymore.
mm,
I don't care if they replaced him with another white British dude. It's not
mhm.
my James Bond.
James.
It was a
You
bit of a
know,
shock
Right.
to my system when Roger Moore showed up. Yeah. I mean, I
Mm,
did come to accept Roger Moore, but after that, no more, no more.
yeah,
Who was the
James
next
Bond.
guy that I just couldn't deal with?
Right.
well, and
Well,
it also kind of bugged me in the Harry Potter movies when they barely even gave Hermione's bushy hair and buck teeth and all of that a nod. Like they barely, like when I was reading the book, I kind of pictured the girl from the Princess Diaries, and then
yes.
what we got on screen was nothing like what was described in
Right.
the book. It's kind of like in if you've ever seen the Watchmen movie. I haven't seen the series. I'm talking the
Mhm.
movie. The characters are supposed to be more like the characters in The Incredibles, where they're washed up and middle aged, and
Right.
they've had their day. But in the movie, they were like, well, no one's going to accept main characters who aren't young and virile and sexy, so we have to make them more like maybe in their early 30s, maybe, instead of
Mhm.
like their mid to late 40s like they're supposed to be.
Right.
They're not going to be complete chubbos the way they're supposed to be. They're not going to be the ones who've been sitting at a desk for a couple of decades. They have to
Right.
be the young attractive kids. It's like, couldn't you give us the comic on screen instead of filtering it through your Hollywood like focus groups?
Mm-hmm.
Instead
Mm-hmm.
of having that Hollywood purity test that you have to have, couldn't you have just given us what was in the book?
It's interesting what NANA has to say here. He says Roger Moore always reminds me of Ronald Reagan. Okay, then.
Huh.
Oh
I wouldn't know.
my.
I've only seen Sean Connery at this point. And maybe the reason I didn't enjoy it was just because of the time when it was made, filmmaking was treated differently. Because I've seen Ocean's 11 with George Clooney, and I've seen it with, I think it was Frank Sinatra. And with the Sinatra one, they really hit much more on the relationships between the characters. They spent a lot of time of them just reminiscing about the past. And
Okay.
after a while, I was getting really friggin' bored. I was like, I thought I was going to be seeing a heist. Can you get to the heist? And it was kind of the same thing watching The Blob, where they spent a lot of time where it was just characters chatting and almost no time on The Blob. Whereas the vast, vast majority of the George Clooney Ocean's 11 was about the friggin' heist. And there were a bunch of times watching the James Bond movies, which were made in what, like the 60s? The ones with Sean Connery?
Well, the
And
first one was 62. Yeah.
they were goddamn boring because there wasn't a lot of spy stuff in them. There was a lot of just sitting around chatting. And even when there was spy stuff, like there were these guys who were scuba divers trying to put like a bomb on a ship or something. And it went so slowly. It was interminable. I'm like, can these people swim any fucking faster? You know? And like I didn't need explosions. I didn't need fight scenes. I was just like, come on, people, pacing, 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 keep it going, keep it moving. And maybe that's why I don't like the early James Bond stuff, is because they took their time way the fuck too much.
Well, they did take
And
their
my
time.
ADD is
Yes.
kicking in. I wanted to see the car with the ejector seat and the rocket boost. I didn't really want to see James Bond flirting at a casino with a girl he's never going to get. You know what I mean?
Well, wait a minute. James Bond had to get all the girls.
Oh, no, no, no. He gets at least one girl. He doesn't have to get all of them. But I mean, seriously, I think that's part of what it was just I needed a faster pace. I have the same problem with Blade Runner, is especially that scene where Rachel is looking out the window and Deckard is like talking to her and having a heart to heart, and he speaks in a monotone that's very slowly. And she answers after about 10 seconds of silence, lather, rinse, repeat. And I'm like, come on, people, have a conversation, keep it moving. It's so frustrating.
Oh man. Now wait a minute. Omega Nuts has them in the order of Lazenby, Connery, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, Craig. We had Lazenby before Connery.
I'm not sure this is in chronological order. It may
I'm
just
saying,
be
yeah, and
it may just be memory order.
okay, that makes more sense.
I actually know nothing about George Lazenby other than he exists. Like, has he been in anything other than James Bond? I'm sure he must, but I couldn't name it.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm looking it up, but I don't know. And he's probably dead by now, too. Frankly, I'm surprised Sean Connery. That's a good name for him, but I'm surprised he's still kicking around.
God, what is
Well, it looks like Lazenby has been in a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm seeing 2017, 2016, 2016, 2015, 14. But then there's a big gap, like an 11-year gap to 2003. I'm wondering if I've seen any of this. So far, no. So far, no. Wow, he was in an episode of Kung Fu, The Legend Continues.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I know, right? Wow, apparently he played Jor-El in a TV series of Superboy, which I do not remember. Let's see, we're coming up on When I Wasn't Alive Yet. I'm on 1983. Wow, apparently he was in a bunch of episodes of General Hospital.
Okay.
Wow, he was in Kentucky Fried Movie? I'm going to have to watch that again.
NANA, where are your comments too crude? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me look. It's 110,
see.
maybe a little young.
Okay, Connery. Well, he was born in 1930, so I guess that would make him, what, 90?
He will be 90 on 25 August.
Yeah. Wait a minute. He was what the hell is Sir Billy? Because apparently he actually broke his "I'm not in movies anymore" thing and was in a movie about an animated movie, because it was his voice, about a retired veterinarian living in a remote Scottish village who encounters a goat that thinks he's a dog, an admiral who's afraid of the water, and a beaver who is raised by rabbits. What the fuck movie is this?
Jeez, man.
It sounds like an acid trip. But, well, oh wow, it's got a lot of really famous Brits in it. I mean, Miriam Margolyes and Alan Cumming, and is Ruby Wax British? I don't think she is. I think she's American living in Britain. But yeah.
Oh, geez, what do we
Yeah,
have
she was born in
here?
Evanston, Illinois. That's, yeah. Man, I can't believe I was right about that. Isn't she married to someone famous like Ricky Gervais or some shit?
I'm not sure.
Well, oh no, she's married to Ed By, who's one of the producers of Red Dwarf. I knew
Ah,
that she was in Red Dwarf. They wanted someone else that wasn't available, so they went with her, I guess, because her husband knew that she could be in it. So I don't know.
what I want to know
Trying to
here
remember
is
what was.
where is Connery trying to do the Clark Gable thing over here? Uh, I'll put it in the side chat.
Let's see, Time Slides was the one with her. Yes, that's it. So let's see, trivia. Um, Ruby Wax. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. See, Ruby Wax in an episode of Red Dwarf called Time Slides was going to like originally her character, she played a newscaster, not really a newscaster, more like one of those celebrity newscasters. It's like the tabloid in TV form. Originally, that part was going to be played by Graham Chapman, but he died right before they were going to shoot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I knew there was a thing about that episode and her, but now I kind of want to see this Guardian of the Highlands movie that he was in. Or no, it's called Sir Billy, but I guess it's Sir Billy Guardian of the Highlands or something. It looks fucked up. I kind of want to see it. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere. Let's see. I wonder if it's one of those things where maybe they renamed it for Americans or something. Like I actually feel mildly insulted that they felt the need to change Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's Stone. I'm like, I may be American, but I can take it.
Right.
I actually have the endurance to survive the word philosopher.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like I say, I feel mildly. Yes, it's available on Amazon Prime. I can watch it. Yes, I am so going to have to do that because I am so curious about this fucked up sounding movie. Wow. All right.
Well, it is 9:31 here. I am going to head off because I am getting sleepy.
Oh my.
And I should probably eat.
Yeah, I haven't eaten dinner either, and that's not helping.
If
so.
you haven't done that yet, Kate, that might not be a bad idea. We would not want you
Yeah.
wasting away.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not anywhere near there yet.
I munched on some Cheez-Its, but that's not enough to fill my stomach, so I'm going to go head off, eat something, and then...
You caught my attention there, and, the word cheese. The damn thing is, I'd love to have some cheese. The thing is, I cannot stop at a piece or two. I've got to have a pound at a time.
Well, here's what you do. Okay, I don't know if it's this way in your supermarket, but in my supermarket, you can buy singletons of string cheese. So if you want to limit yourself to only a little bit of cheese, buy 1 or 2 sticks of string cheese and take those home.
I might
Yeah.
have to try that, yeah, because I know they are more
Yeah.
expensive per pound and all that other happy stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I want to
Yeah.
pay less per pound, so I'll eat some now and have some later. And it's like you never get around to later; it's all gone now. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying is if you feel the need to deliberately limit yourself, there's ways to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Plus, they also have a cheese counter at my supermarket, so you can tell them this is too much. Can you slice it and rewrap it? And they will.
okay. Giant Eagle may or may not do that, but I don't have one of those within walking distance. That's the problem. Um,
And
Hmm.
what on earth is your kitty after up there? Oh, and of course, now that I mention it, she stops trying to climb the wall. There she goes.
oh,
Yeah.
she's playing with the picture. Why is you
Mm.
doing that for you, huh? Why is
Because
you
she wants to be
doing
annoying.
that? What I have to do, and it's a little too late today, I keep thinking about it when it's always too late. I need to take that Martian sunrise down and move it to the wall with the window on it. So
Hmm.
the way things are arranged, she won't be able to get to any of the pictures that way. You know, they're
Yeah.
slowly crawling down the wall as we go here.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well, bye bye, folks. Have a good night.
Have fun.
well, take care and be
No.
good and
Oh,
have
yep.
fun and stuff and
Oh, yeah.
things and then there's this cat.
Yes. Well, I need to
I
go
don't
before I start falling asleep on you. So.
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I even still have it. But kicking around, I believe on my phone somewhere was video that completely boggled me because Columbia had somehow gotten on top of the door frame. Now,
Oh my.
what I had forgotten was that her kitty tree was on the side of it that I wasn't looking at, and that's how she got up there. But for a minute, it looked like my cat had somehow climbed the door.
But what amazes me is, well, I don't know, maybe you're not set up the way most of the doors I've run into. I would think that the molding around the door frame would be too narrow to
The door was
support her.
open.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. The door was open. So she got up there though, and I was like, how? Until I like got to the other side of the door and was like, oh right, your kitty tree. So I'm
Tria, you mentioned something. Yeah, you said apple butter coffee ribs for dinner. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look
oh that's
around
not it.
and get a rack of ribs one of these days because they are excellent
Shit.
for seasoning.
Mm.
Where I'll,
I have not had ribs in ages.
I would love to just sit and eat a rack of ribs, but it's a little pricier than I can justify. But
Well, it's also a metric fuck ton of calories in it.
well, that too. But you know, slicing 4 ribs off of a rack and using that in a bean stew
Mhm.
works pretty darn well. Um,
You said rack.
yes, I did.
Sorry, just don't mind me. I'm being a child right now.
I'd like a rack, but
Mm. Yeah. I don't know. I was How I Met Your Mother years old when I first heard the term rack jack, and I was very, very amused by it.
wait a minute, rack jack?
Yeah, that's when you're hitting on a chick and someone else swoops in and hits on her more successfully than you.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Sort of takes her out
that
from under
that's
you.
a that's a rack jack, is what that is. Kind of like a hijack, except
Mm-hmm.
it's rack jack. So
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I was very amused when I heard that term.
okay, wait a minute. What is slightly less expensive for a family of 3? The ribs? Salmon rice green beans. That sounds tasty.
I got to start going to the supermarket in the morning before all the apples have turned to shit. Like
Okay.
if you get there in the afternoon, people have manhandled them so much
Yes.
that they're all bruised up
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the stems have been yanked and they basically the other customers have done their damnedest to make sure that something under the peel is brown.
Yeah, unfortunately. Um,
So I gotta start getting up earlier so I can actually buy some fruit.
yeah, it's I don't get enough fruit. I really like fruits. Um,
Really, I would have thought you'd like dikes more.
well, yeah, definitely, but I
Yeah.
love apples. The problem
Mm-hmm.
is that I can't bite into one anymore. I have to slice them up, because I wear full dentures.
Mm.
Um, and then some of the other stuff I just dearly love are some of the expensive fruits like the kiwis, um, the pomegranates. I haven't had a pomegranate in
Mm.
ages. I love those things.
I've never actually eaten a New Zealander,
Okay,
a kiwi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't start with Ray Comfort. That's all I can tell you.
Oh, I wouldn't. He's trash. He's tainted meat. Or to put it in ElfQuest terms, he's meat to be wasted.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But no, there's, and I'm not going to get into it. Never mind.
Uh,
Yeah. No, there's someone from New Zealand. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway,
okay, I know.
yeah.
You have
Yeah.
talked about it. Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't know if she knows, but
Well, if she watches my
and
show, she does.
well, I don't know if she watches your show.
I mean, yeah,
She certainly never commented.
what's the chance, right?
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, so besides, how many people from New Zealand are sort of in this particular circle anyway? So I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, so I should probably get food.
Food, that is
I
a
don't know.
good thing, yes.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say before. Is have you ever noticed? Wait a minute, I think we've been over this before. But have you ever noticed that no matter how much uncooked pasta you eat, you never feel full?
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't make a habit of eating uncooked pasta. I mean, I've
I've done it.
occasionally chewed on a piece, while I'm making some pasta dish or anything. But unlike you, I have not used that as a snack.
I have just because I was either lazy or whatever. But I would sometimes just have like a bowl or a plate with a bunch of pasta and just nosh on it.
Okay.
Almost like it was potato chips or something. It was just a thing I did. I had some weird habits as a kid with
Okay.
food.
Okay.
But yeah, but it didn't seem to matter how much I ate. I never felt full. It was only if it was cooked that it actually sated any appetite.
That's interesting. I wonder how that works.
Mhm.
I really do.
Maybe it's just that, like, with enough water in it, it just feels like more food to the stomach or something. Like it filled the hole better in ways that a fistful of spaghetti won't.
Okay.
Like dry spaghetti.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've got me thinking. Okay, yeah, next time I go to the ingredients shopping, I've got to
Mm.
get well, instead of using I forget which meat you're supposed to use for spaghetti carbonara. I figure I would end up just getting some chicken
Mm.
jowl meat, but I haven't had spaghetti carbonara in a long time.
Rewind.
Say again?
Chicken jowl meat.
Oh, cheek and jowl meat. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
oh, that makes so much more sense. I heard chicken jowl, and I
Yeah.
was like, do chickens even have jowls? Okay, that makes so much more sense now. I was so boggled. It's kind of like, well, okay. There's a Louis C.K. routine where he's totally bullshitting, but hell, he's a comedian, so wouldn't he? And he was talking about going into Chinatown and going to one of those shops that Chinese people shop at that's more like what you might find in China. He was talking about how there was a barrel full of duck vaginas with a scoop stuck in it. And I was like, ducks have cloacas, don't they? I don't think there's such a thing as a duck vagina. But, you talk about chicken jowls, and for some reason my brain goes to a barrel full of duck vaginas.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay,
I'm
that
weird.
sounds interesting enough.
You
Yes.
know, I recognize my oddness. I totally grok that I am not normal. I'm actually pretty okay with it. Normal is
That
boring.
is what is so endearing about you. But that's beside the point.
Uh, you know, I'm sure there's some weirdnesses I have of which I'm ashamed and try to hide, but at the moment I can't really think of too terribly many. Well, benefits of not having a lot of shame.
There you go. Yeah.
I've never understood why shame is a virtue.
Oh my! I'm trying to think of how it fits in. Um, with the having no shame and everything. Because who was it? Was it Hitchens that said this, or was? Oh no! It wasn't Hitchens. It was Aaron. Aaron was talking about the Manson family and how Chucky would anally rape the family members to deprive them of honor and shame. Because when you have neither of those, you'll do anything your leader person wants you to do, something like that.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. But I mean, it seems to me that if you have no shame, you're probably a better adjusted person than someone who insists upon it. I imagine that there are certain amounts of remorse and conscience, but I don't necessarily think those are equivalent to shame.
Okay. So maybe that's what's happening in my head here. Because yeah, I was maybe I should not be equating them or not, using them interchangeably.
Well,
Because there
I
are
mean, a
some
lot of
things in my past of which I am ashamed.
yeah,
And when I say that, I mean I am remorseful.
yeah, but I mean, a lot of times they talk about shame as if it were dignity. Like if someone were to stroll around wearing something revealing, have you no shame? I was like, what?
Yeah. And it's like,
Why would I?
hey,
Why would I have shame?
I
You
mean,
know?
I wouldn't have a problem walking down the street butt naked. It's the people looking at me that I'd have to wonder about.
Yeah. Well, you know that I don't have a lot of problem,
Yeah,
being
right.
naked in public. I've rollerbladed in parades naked in public. I have very little shame in that way.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, I can kind of understand certain sorts of shaming of people, but for the most part, it's not a good practice. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like you can probably well, I hate using fat shaming as an example, but I mean, I'm not saying that someone necessarily has to not be proud of their body, but if someone's health is in danger because of their weight and they won't do anything about it, at that point, I start to think maybe shaming is the way to go because they don't care about their health and maybe they ought. So what else, like what other tool do you have to get them to realize how much danger they're in? But if you're just like fat shaming, going, ha ha, you're a chubbo, at that point, I'm like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, that's not okay. Like, I see a difference between teasing and the kind of shaming I talked about where you need to get someone to get their ass in gear and take care of their fucking health. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, with some people, I suppose that is about the only thing that works. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I used to hate was when people would try to shame me for being a smoker. And I would occasionally tell one or two of them, if you're trying to get me to quit, that's not the way to do it. And
Yeah.
that's the way to get me to smoke 2 cigarettes at a time. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, is
Oh
it?
yeah. Oh. If I'm ever in trouble for something or if people are objecting to my behavior in any way, ganging up on me is the wrong way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since a lot of people's behavior doesn't start in a vacuum. Chances are good if someone's fucking pissed off and showing it, someone else caused it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
someone else instigated it. So maybe the right thing to do, other than ganging up on them until they conform to your expectations of their behavior, maybe you should ask them what the frick happened and take it seriously.
Maybe. Yeah.
You know?
Maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
But I mean, I totally understand the idea of doubling down when people try to get on your case.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will succumb to that. I admit it. Um
Although, I mean, there was someone I talked to recently on Facebook who has since blocked me. Again, to bring this back to politics, I was trying to explain to him, like, here's why Bernie is better than you think he is. And he was like, well, you can't argue me into changing my mind. I'm like, well, how the hell else am I going to do it? You know, I
right,
mean,
right.
even if my arguments are not an argument, you know, if it's more a matter of here are reasons, he was still not receptive in any way. And I was like, but you claim to be at least potentially Bernie friendly. He was like, yeah, I think he's okay. I just don't like the behavior of his supporters. And I was like, so you're just going to have a tantrum because some people are passionate? And he wouldn't even address that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, then clearly you're not as open minded as you claim.
I mean, yeah, clearly some Bernie supporters can be absolute dicks, but then again, so can some supporters of Biden, of Warren, of back in the day of Hillary. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just about anybody can be a dick.
Oh, and you know what? Telling me that if I don't vote blue no matter who, welcome to 4 more years of Trump, you know, I'm like, that is the worst possible argument. And frankly, if you are blue no matter who and you're not rallying behind the candidate with the most support and the most intractable voters during the primary, welcome to 4 more years of Trump.
Yeah.
Because you, like, a lot of people cannot see past the nomination and then
Mm-hmm.
they can't see past the general election. And it's like, well, you know, if defeating Trump is your only goal, then you're not really considering the further implications, the long-term implications of whoever you choose to back.
Yeah, it's sort of like they're. I will say they're almost saying, support Mussolini over Hitler. Um,
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
and this is one of the things that really depresses me. You've noticed that I'm reasonably sure that recently in the recent past, I'm clutching at whatever I could grab at to hang on for hope. I don't have any more. I have no
Oh
more
god.
hope.
Have you ever seen the movie Clockwise with John Cleese?
Doesn't sound familiar.
It's very similar to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where a guy is trying to get home for an event of some sort, and everything goes wrong during the trip, right? And sort of near the end of the movie, he's sitting on the road outside the car, completely dejected. And there was this girl who was taking the trip with him, one of his students, and he goes, "It's not the despair, Laura. I can take the despair. It's the hope." You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
totally get that. Is getting your hopes up and being dashed over and over again makes you lose your fucking hope.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it early in the program. I think this is what, and I'm going to sound all conspiratorial here, the perpetrators of a lot of this stuff want. Because a lot of the he's not a Democrat, and a lot of the other stuff like that that's going on is not coming from the blue side of the street. A lot of it's coming from the red side of the street in order to engender this whole thing about cause people to leave the field and not even leave the house come election day. And we know what happens when there's a low turnout. Um,
Well, the thing is, though, I think they're a little bit out of touch with those tactics because every time they decide to rag on Bernie, and then same with the Democrats as well, he gets support. His support increases every time they rag on him. And so it's like, well, keep doing that. I mean, it might have worked in the last election. It might have worked 10 years ago. It's not going to work today.
I hope that's the case. And here I am with this
Whoa.
hope stuff. I don't
Yeah.
want my hopes dashed. I don't know if I can take it.
Well, when the primary is over, I will have one of two things to say. And one of them will be, yes, Bernie won, or the other is 4 more years of Trump. You guys who voted the wrong way in the primary have just fucked us all. And a lot of them are like, but you have to vote for the nominee because otherwise Trump. And I'm like, well, a lot of people, like, I think they're being unrealistic, expecting people to bow to the majority, expecting people to choose a lesser of two evils candidate again. I think they're being unrealistic. And we were talking about shaming before, that welcome to 4 more years of Trump is voter shaming.
Yeah. Oh,
Vote blue no
absolutely, it
matter
is.
who.
Yes.
Vote blue no matter who is voter shaming if you're trying to force it on other people. And it's unrealistic expecting people to not be stubborn about this. And if their votes are the ones that are flexible, then you got to side with the stubborn people. But a lot of them are like, no, no, we will change the stubborn people to do what we want them to do. And it's not going to work.
And that reminds me of the whole thing. I forget how it's worded exactly. It's, what is it? You get the government you deserve, but that's not what it is. It's not the case at all. I get the government you deserve by voting for it. And I.
Oh. Well, it's kind of like whenever people say, oh, Americans think this or Americans think they're like that, where it's like, the way Americans see themselves fighting foreign wars, and it's a picture of Superman, and it's like the way they actually are, and you see like a masked terrorist. I'm like, you know what? I'm against those stupid fucking wars too. I'm an American, well, a United Statesian, but don't get me started. And so if you're going to talk about Americans like we're all the same, no, we're not. A lot of us are on your side.
Yeah. And that's what really. It's one of the things that depresses me. Also, it's. I'm just waiting for the end. I am just. I'm waiting for it to be over.
Saw an article. Did I mention this already about whether, like, how Trump will, like, seriously may not leave office if he loses?
Yeah.
Like, may try to forcibly stay in office?
Yeah.
Kind of hope it happens. I want to watch him be dragged from the White House kicking and screaming.
That would be interesting. Now the question
I
is,
want to watch him attempt to install himself as king or emperor.
well, the one thing though that I wonder about, where something like that to happen, is how many backbones are there out there that would do something about it.
I get the impression there will be a few. Because if he refuses to leave office, one of the things they mentioned in the article is that the White House is not the seat of power, that it is just a building, it's a symbol, and the president can be president from anywhere.
Right.
And so if Trump refuses to leave office, well, it won't matter very much. And there are a lot of people who will be, who will realize that they have to do their job or be fired, and Trump isn't their boss anymore.
I hope there are enough of those, yeah, because the thought that goes through my mind when I hear the phrase or the sentence or whatever it is, what if he refuses to leave office, is what if he attempts to hold on to power and there are enough people in support of him that he can actually maintain some.
I suspect that won't happen.
Okay, that would be a good thing if it did not happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, you think about the military often being pretty right wing because they're the military, but I
Yeah,
suspect that they're not pro Trump.
a lot of them are not. No, I know a lot of brass does not like him at all.
Hmm.
Um,
So I think it'll be okay if he decides to not leave office. I think it'll be entertaining. I think I might be glued to a Trump live stream to watch him be removed forcibly if it happened. I
it
almost
could.
want him to try to like physically barricade himself with sandbags in the Oval Office. I think that would be so entertaining.
Yeah, it could be really interesting. Especially if things go in a really crazy direction. And the way
Mm-hmm.
he's taken out is by being taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, that
I'm
would
not
be
saying I'd ever instigate it myself. I would just sit there with the popcorn, but still.
that that would make a great chapter in the history books. One that Texas
Mm-hmm.
would probably want to wash away from the pages. Uh,
Texas? Whoa, Texas?
oh, that's a lame reference to the way history books are being changed in Texas.
I missed this particular memo.
Let's see now. Where one of the things I'm trying to think of is blacks are being whitewashed out of history, and let's see what Aaron has done a couple pieces on it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, in other words, yeah, it's. I'll be over there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a comment that
Well,
went absolutely nowhere.
hmm.
Oh my, oh my.
So I am really starting to feel the hungries. I gotta go get some food into the system. So I'm gonna make, tracks. It's been fun.
Well,
Also, watch that playlist, damn it.
yes, it's something I'm gonna have to do tonight. Before I go night night. Um, Turn that damn thing on. I forget why it is that I didn't watch it yesterday.
Mhm.
I had
Oh,
time and I
I
didn't.
I should warn you, it will be hours watching this thing.
Well, maybe
It's
I can.
long.
Yeah, maybe I can do an episode at a time or something like that. Just the way I've been doing the systematic classification of life.
Well, I mean, like the first couple of episodes are maybe 10, 15 minutes. There's one or two that go double or even quadruple that. So,
Oh, I can
yeah,
handle an
it's
hour
long.
long episode. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay. Just,
Yeah,
letting you know.
I don't know that I would be able to do like 13 hours at one stretch.
Oh, it's not 13 hours. It's more like 3 or 4, but still, yeah,
Oh, maybe I
it,
could do
it's
three
a
or
commitment.
four.
It's a commitment. Anyway, food now. So
Food.
I'll catch you later.
Thanks for being by. Seriously, Kate. And
I don't know. Let's be bye.
you're an absolute dear, but you know, what can I tell you?
Eh? All right. Have fun.
Take care, hon. And to everyone out there, yeah, maybe one of the things I'll do is see what I can do about. I shouldn't. I mean, I've already had a little bit of something to eat, but maybe I should just make up another fried rice and have some of that, and then start backing everything up and just pull this machine apart, you know, software wise, and try to reinstall it and see if that helps. I have no idea if anything will help at all because Yeah, today's been another one of those days where it intermittently works and just, doesn't usually work. Um, but yeah, it's all sorts of fun. Little bit of a reminder: tomorrow at noon Eastern, there will be a video. I've scheduled a transgendered chef video for release Wednesday noon Eastern. It will be me making a simple fried rice with some really shitty production values. But, what can I tell you? What I really need is a producer and a camera crew, but I can't afford any of that shit right now. And then I want everybody to remember that Purple Rhymes with Orange is, excuse me, looking to raise some money to get moved from his current digs in the Upper Peninsula to Minnesota. He does have housing in Minnesota, and he's really looking forward to getting there because he's finally got a chance to be among people again and everything. And yeah, where he is right now, the rate of alcoholism is phenomenal because all you've got to do is sit home and drink. Um, and he's really looking forward to moving to Minnesota. So if you can give him a hand with some of that, I have to look. I should have looked for the what's the word I'm looking for? The URL of his GoFundMe. I'm going to look it up right now. Purple Rhymes with Orange fundraiser. What do we have here? I'm not seeing it. Darn it. It's gotta be on. It's gotta be on the Twitter somewhere along the line where you can grab the address of where to throw money at him. Like I say, to get him and Sloth Girl as well moved up to Minnesota, or down to Minnesota, shall I say. On the 22nd, I'll be closing out the fundraising thing. It does go on his streams on Wednesdays and Fridays. I'll be closing it out Sunday, the 23rd. So you get to see a little bit of that going on. Okay, Amiga Nuts. What is he up to? I take it you mean. I take it you mean Purple. What is he up to? I think about 5'10". Yeah, I know. Most of what he's up to right now is packing and getting ready for the getting ready for the trek. Yeah, that I will do. Drop it in the description. I'm gonna look. Oh, you found it. Thank you, Omega Nuts. Yay! 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 I'm gonna find out if it works. Let me go over here and open in a new tab. Okay, well that will take you to his PayPal. Yeah. And I think he's got a fundraising, a GoFundMe or something like that also running. But yeah, the link here will get you to a place where you can throw money at him, 20s, 50s, something like that, something small. And oh, and I'm going to look up the what I'll do is, as a matter of fact, I'm going to look it up right now and just try to fill the time here with. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, look. I found it. Yay. Um, okay, there's PayPal and there's GoFundMe. So let me copy the PayPal link, copy the link location. And we're going to go over here. Why is that not? Oh man, you don't get the link you're supposed to get. You get this stupid ass thing. Okay, I'm gonna open it in a new tab and then pick it up from there. Okay, the first link here is the one that Amiga Nuts put in the side chat, and then we've got this guy, the GoFundMe link. We're gonna open that. And there we are. We're gonna copy. Yay, yay, yay. Yay, 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 yay. And we're gonna paste it over there. And there's that one. That's the GoFundMe. So, yeah, that's the one that'll get it together. I'm trying to remember. It may be better if you went to the PayPal, because I think GoFundMe takes a shitload off the top. But, go where you will, if you will, and we'll see what happens. Fundraiser. Do we have... Okay, as of now, there's $370 raised out of a $2,500 goal. So we've really got to get to work on this. Yeah, and I'm going to see if I can't find some money myself and see if I can throw him something. Yeah, we got to get him. We got to get him moved. Because it's a very good thing for his mental health. Let me tell you. So, okay, there we are. Oh, okay, if it's only 5%, that's not bad. Here, I was thinking it was something like a third. Okay. Yeah, 5% isn't that bad, really. I get that. I get more than that taken from Patreon, to tell you the absolute truth. Okay, there we go with that. And let's see what else we've got for the rest of the thing here before we shut everything down, because it's 22:23 hours over here, so it's almost 10:30 p.m. and it might not be a bad idea to kind of start winding things up. And then over the next few days, then I'll see what I can do with the arrangement here. And eventually, I want to get to a point where I can buy some hardware to do some stuff with my broadcast setup to try to make things a little bit easier to run, and maybe get things working better than they already are. For all I know, some of the trouble I'm having is that OBS doesn't like the setup, or Google doesn't like the setup. We'll see what happens. But I mean, I'm not really expecting to do anything with that until somewhere around my birthday, which is the middle of July. And I mean, simply because I have a hard time with getting deliveries here. UPS will come up to the door, and then they'll pin a note on it, and they'll leave. And the note reads, "We tried to deliver this to you." No, they didn't. And now we're going to take it to a UPS store that's a 6 mile walk from where you are. It is an empty fish tank, NANA. I've been wanting to put water and fishies in it, but something always comes up. There's always something that gets in the way. So maybe I'll get this done this year. Maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. Um, no, there were a couple angel fish in there when I first moved here, but they died. They transplant chalk, if you will. They just didn't make it. And what I eventually want to do is just get things set up again and go from there. Okay. Yeah, it's what I really want to do with that eventually is a very, very heavily planted tank with plantlets everywhere in there. It's something known as the Wallstad method. And it's supposed to allow you to keep a few more fish than you otherwise would. And it's really, really pretty. I've seen some really pretty Wallstad tanks. So we'll give that a try. And it's just a matter of, yeah, it's going to take a little while. So, well, Red is crazy. Have fun. Thanks for being here, really. And, well, yeah, you're going to have to run. I'm going to have to run pretty soon, like in the next couple minutes, too. So, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, keep Purple in mind. Throw him some dollars and some fives and 50s and $1,000 bills. And no, they don't print those anymore. Yeah, Amiga Nuts. Well, that was Jeff's comment when he came here to take me to the hospital for the kidney biopsy I had back in September. He came, we did that sort of thing. Then we had an Impossible Burger, and then we came here, sat around talking for a while, and he pointed over to the corner and said, "Oh, I like the invisible fishies you got there." And God, I miss Jeff. I really do. He was here on the 16th, and he died the morning of the 18th. My dearest friend in all the world. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Anyway, yeah, we'll just do that sort of thing. And I have no idea what my topic is going to be for Sunday yet. Yeah, I certainly hope I've got everything reassembled, ready to go for Sunday. We'll see what happens. I suppose worst comes to worst, I could move one of the webcams over to the other machine and run one show from there. Absolutely a great loss. Now I haven't been on movie night for the last couple of weeks. I'm gonna have to try going back there again. It's getting more and more difficult for me to go all the way through a movie night because it really screws up my wake and sleep schedule. And I'm ready to fall asleep before it's over, before it's half over. And then when I do get into the bed, I'm not up until, like almost sundown on Saturday. And it's kind of difficult. I guess I'm getting old. Couldn't be it, could it? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, everyone. I want to thank everyone who is here. I want to thank everyone who is not here. I say it every time, and I mean it every time. I'm doing this for you guys. I love doing this. You guys make it all worth it. It amazes the hell out of me. When I first started this sort of thing, and it was 2 years ago, believe it or not, that I actually got the channel going. I wasn't expecting anything. I was expecting to make a video every now and then and put it out there, and nobody would pay attention to me or anything. And then Johnny Drive-By discovered me, and the rest is history. And it's a whole hell of a lot of fun doing these. I absolutely love it, and I'm getting all more and more loaded up with the schedule and everything else because I'm doing 2 of these. I'd like to get, I know Kate gives me a hard time about it every time, but I'd like to get some of the edited videos out there, and I'm also working on the other channel, the Transgender Chef, and like I say, hopefully before next week is over, I'm hoping to have another episode of the Transgendered Chef filmed, making the pączki, which are the Polish pre-Lenten donuts, where you eat up all the lard and the sugar and everything else in the house. Instead of Mardi Gras, the Fat Tuesday that the French have, the Polish have Trulski Czwartek, which is Fat Thursday. And this is when people eat the pączki with abandon, and they're really, really good. They really are, and the lard won't kill you. Trust me, it won't. It just won't. And okay, so we've got that going, and I do want to say one big one for all you folks out there. Thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.